This is for you.
That's for me. We're gonna do that intro.
This is which one?
Or like from like Wayne's World. It's like Wayne's World, party time, excellent. No?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Oh, dude, are we live?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, well, I guess we did it.
Yeah.
I guess we did it.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, we're just going to hang out, talk about our year, and catch up with some friends. And
we have some gifts for each other. We haven't seen each other since Christmas.
Yeah.
So we have some Christmas presents for each other, but we're going to save them to the very end. That's right. Let's see. Here we go. And look, mine's, I think, the cutest. What does this say?
Ho, 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 ho. What are you calling me?
Oh, okay. This is a family-friendly-ish.
This is
stream.
XOXOXO.
That's
You're
right.
so sweet.
Okay, so we're going to get started right away. We have our first guests. They're here, and they're ready to go. So let's bring them in.
Yeah, our first guests here are, well, I don't think they need much of an introduction.
Very tame couple.
They are a couple, I think.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
And tame.
But yeah, let's just get them on stage here. We have Kevin Callan and Speedo Man, the happy camper, and Ashley. I guess.
What do you got in your head, man? What is that?
Ooh.
I always got fish in my head. Always fish in my head. You have to. Oh, by the way, in case you didn't notice, this is the trophy winning lure.
I see.
Yeah, because that's the lure I bought you for Christmas last year.
Yes, it is. And I went to a fisherdermist and they mounted it for me.
A fisherdermist?
I didn't, but they did. Yes, it's same as a taxidermist, but it's a fisherdermist.
That's the last time you didn't mount anything.
Oh, yeah, right. Whatever. And yeah, so.
Okay, so Ashley, hang on. Just so I have that clear, that's the lure that you caught the biggest fish with on our trip from this fall, right? We did a fishing competition. It was me and you, Adam and Ashley versus Kevin.
Yes.
Ben.
Yep.
And we were losing the whole day. The whole day we were losing.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah.
Photo from that trip. That was in the middle of the day when Kevin and Ben thought they were winning.
Yeah,
Big time. Yep. They were perched up on the rock, looking down upon us, and like, yeah, guys, we got this in the bag. Blah blah blah.
Actually,
blah
here,
blah.
Ben, if you don't mind.
I already wore that once.
Well, we're showing off our trophies. You've got to show off yours, Kevin.
Yep.
Unfortunately, yours is here, so.
Something about your kid wanted to wear it for Halloween, so I couldn't take it home with me.
That's exactly right. Well, as you can see there, Ashley, we've got our trophy.
Oh yeah, there it is.
It's closer to me though.
Don't let him touch it.
Is that the one? Is that the one that
is off it?
I think that's the one I urinated in. I'm not sure.
Well, that's fine. That's okay.
Kevin, speaking of urination, do you want to tell the story about that thing that happened after you ate that sandwich that Ashley made for you?
Oh, that wasn't urine.
Maybe not. You don't have to tell that story if you don't want to.
That was more. I think I actually should tell that story. Actually, he did poison me while we're fishing.
No, he ate the same thing that I ate, and he ended up pooping in somebody's driveway. Who would do that? Seriously.
Everybody
Who
put your
would
hand
do
up.
That?
Put your hand up out there if you've ever pooped your pants. I have not, and I almost did that day. We were out trout fishing. In fact, it was opening of trout, and we went into a side lake for some speckled trout. I caught one, and you did not.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Wasn't that?
No.
It was like
No, it was pretty small.
It was tiny.
But you
had
had
size
made me,
of this lure.
Yeah, you made me a lovely sandwich of marmalade something. I'm not sure.
No, it was cheese and Branston pickle.
Okay, something like that. And we got to the parking lot. I remember we actually met those two guys that never fished before in their lives. And I was going.
That's right.
Yeah. So
Yes.
I was thinking, well, I'm gonna poop in the woods, but in the parking lot before we leave because I have to go. And then they were there, and we're like, I can't. And then they're all, they didn't look like they knew what they're doing in a good way. Like they were really excited. But so we gave them the trout I caught just to say, here's a trout.
True.
And with all the excitement, I did not go. And they were driving back out. And I got to go, man. It's not like, and you said, no, let's wait
Yeah.
at home, Kevin. You can make it. No, I cannot make it. Whatever you fed me was not good. And
No.
sure enough, I pulled
No.
up the side of the road. I ran up to, well, it was somewhat wooded driveway. It wasn't just a driveway. It was a wooded driveway.
I was praying somebody would drive down that driveway.
Well, someone
and
did. It was me.
call the police and say there is somebody taking a poop in my driveway.
Okay, so show of hands of all the anglers out there who had to actually poop on the way back from a fishing.
Yep. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Or
There's lots out there, but you can poop on a dime. It's like you can poop when, like, I've never known anybody to poop as much as him. So how did we get on to poop? I'm like, this
It had
thing's
something to do
spinning
with the
around
lube,
in front of me. It's like, whoa. Anyway, did we talk enough about the trophy winning lure?
I don't know if we did, honestly. Ashley,
I don't know, Adam.
I think
I
we
don't
should
know
just
if we
remind
did.
everyone once again that we really were totally defeated that whole entire day.
That's
and
true.
We worked our
Yep.
butts off as a result.
Yep.
We literally fished every opportunity that we could. If we weren't
Yep.
eating or like pooping, we were fishing, trying to catch something.
That's
big.
true.
You seriously cannot make this story up. This is not
No,
a
you couldn't.
It's not
Honestly,
an
God, you couldn't.
exaggeration. I'm a storyteller. I'm Irish and
Yeah.
Scottish, but this is just exactly what happened. You
Yep.
can't pick it up.
Kevin's never had like an honest fishing story in his life. He can't believe this really happened.
this one is real. Yeah.
But the thing
So for those of
was,
you who
is
may have
that
missed it,
how he would pick his partner. He dropped me in a heartbeat. He went for the cute, cuddly guy versus the skinny English guy, and he thought that actually Ben was the better fisherman, which cracks me up because he obviously hasn't watched enough paddlehead videos to know that Adam is the fisherman. And I'm like, yes, thank you. Okay, because you can only ride that Irish look for so long, right? Eventually, that horseshoe is going to poop out of your bum, and there you go. Sorry, boys, but that's it. I got no more for you. Yep, you can only ride that look for so long, right?
I think I'm the winner, the true winner here. So my mom was gonna go to the States before our trip, and I said, if you see anything fish related, pick it up. We need a trophy for our competition with Kevin and Ashley coming up.
Okay.
And so she ended up bringing this home, and
wow,
a fish oven mitt. And my girlfriend, and she's like, "I really hope you win that because I want us to actually have that." So I just didn't bring it.
So
it for himself.
I think so. Okay, we've done the fall fishing thing. So now I think we should throw it down, Adam and I. It's the ice fishing winter challenge, and we challenge them to ice fishing competition.
Ashley,
Actually, as long as you catch a pike and land it on your own.
Yeah,
No,
that would be awesome.
No, I
Yeah.
did, Adam, didn't I? I did catch a pike, and I
yes,
briefly
exactly.
brought it in.
That's exactly how it went. Yes, exactly.
No, you have to. You guys, you know. Actually, for a couple of years now, we have some great opportunities. I've known him for a long time. I had put his own worm on when I first met him. He would put his own worm on, right? And then I had to net his fish, clean his fish, cook his fish. In fact, still to this day, I put his worm on.
You still do. I know.
Well, we all got to start somewhere, right?
You got to look after me, right? Somebody has to.
Oh man!
Look,
Out
so
there
you've
in
been
the
promising
wilderness.
us a spring trout trip. I think that's what we got to do is a spring trout trip.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's true fishing. That's true fishing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hang on, just remind me, how many trout did you catch last year?
I was portaging all your gear.
Sorry,
hang on.
Whoa, maximum. Sorry, how many trout did you catch?
I caught none.
Are any of these from this year?
Oh, look at that! Oh, isn't that beautiful?
That's a nice trout.
That is a beautiful lake trout. And
Did that hit
I
the
know
dinner table?
what's coming. I know what's coming. But yep, Whose
What's
rod
this
did you
one?
catch it on? Oh yeah, that's yeah. My oh yeah, there see what he does, he gloats. I never gloat. Never ever do I gloat. Okay, a little bit in that one. Okay, but yeah.
We had to take out about 3 minutes of our video. We had to edit out 3 minutes of you gloating. Like people thought they saw you really gloating at the end there, but we cut so much of it out.
Adam, you and I would never, ever, ever gloat about catching.
I think we gave them the appropriate amount of gloating that they deserve.
I think so.
We were just being fair.
We deserve to gloat, right?
It's true.
Because the two old guys sitting up on the rock there going, oh yeah, they're never gonna catch another fish. Oh, look at them out there in the boat. They're never gonna catch yep.
Ashley, I hate to break it to you. I am horrible at ice fishing, so you wouldn't want me as a partner. But I think Ben's right. We do the trout trip in the spring, and we make that competition out of that because trout fishing is much tougher than bass fishing.
It is,
and for sure we'll be at a disadvantage because we don't do a ton of trout fishing.
Yeah.
I would just like for once to go trout fishing where I'm in the bow and actually fishing. Because usually kind of what happens and why Ashley does better, well, actually not always better in trout fishing, is I'm in the back, steering the canoe, dealing with everything else going on, getting into the areas where he was going to catch fish. And then he says, oh, you didn't catch anything. That's because I was doing all the work while you're in the bow, like, blah, 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 blah.
Well, if you teach me how to paddle a canoe, then maybe you could go in the bow, but you won't. It's like, nope, my canoe. I'm gonna
Actually, no. Remember the story where I broke my foot on a canoe trip, and then you said it's not. No, let me finish here. You said it was not broken, and I crawled back in the woods. I actually had to poop before we left the campsite. I literally crawled on the ground to do that. Crawled back, and then I had to make you breakfast. Right?
That's true.
And we got back to the access point, and he goes, well, I don't know how to portage a canoe to get to the vehicle. With a broken foot, I actually, in two places, I put the canoe on the vehicle. Then we're driving home to the hospital, and then you wanted a coffee. So I had to go into Tim Hortons. So I'm in the lineup, and people recognize me. They're chatting with me, and I went, I don't really want to talk right now. I have a broken foot, and my buddy's in the car waiting for me to get his coffee. You kept on saying it's not broken. We got to the hospital. I came out with a cast. You son of a...
I'm sure he paid them doctors to say, yeah, it's broken. Yeah. But yeah, I did somewhat feel a little guilty, but yeah, I mean, my coffee was a little cold by the time he got back, but that's fine. I mean, yes, he did have to hobble and drag his ass along the ground, but I mean,
what was wrong with your feet,
the best time actually, really, we were late fall fishing. We were in the hot tent, you and I in the Corthas, and you had the same jig that I had on, exact same jig, and you're sitting right beside me in the canoe, and I caught 32 bass, you caught 0, and I've never seen you do anything.
Because you made me make an anchor. That was it. As soon as I made the anchor, I was cursed. Cursed, I'm telling you. It was a curse of the Irish. He'd put it on me. I'm sure he had a little effigy of me, and he was like, yep, he's never going to catch another fish. So there you go. Anyway, so Happy New Year to everybody.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Yes.
Definitely.
I hope everybody had a good Christmas, and nice to see the trophy there. Adam, don't let him touch you.
Well, Ben and I were saying that earlier. I thought Christmas was over, but we haven't seen each other. So again, we have these gifts that we're going to give to each other at the end of the stream.
Oh, nice.
Very good. That'll be the official end of Christmas for us.
Actually, I did get some nice gifts from Mr. Cullen. He did get me some Storm 360 GT.
Nice.
Different lures. But this one is never, ever going to see water ever again. Because it is the 20-inch bass lure it's never going to see water. But he did get me some really nice roughly 60
and thank you for your gifts. You got me the same, but they were bought at the dollar store.
That's true, because that was the only stall that was open at the time. It's like, what do I get the guy that has everything in life? It's like, it's tough, right? You know, is a beautiful woman. He has everything. So I mean, what do you get that guy? It's so
Some
it's
dollar
so
store
difficult.
words.
Yes.
Sounds about right.
Definitely. Yeah, that works.
Oh,
Yeah.
and some wet wipes.
To bring with him after he eats your sandwiches.
Yep. There you go. So
Yeah.
hey, see that net behind you, Adam?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one we should take. And because that's the kind of fish that we'd catch. And Kevin, you just keep that little.
Have you ever caught a muskie?
Listen, it's true actually that when we did the trip in the fall,
Yeah.
you guys caught tiny fish. You caught
They
two
did.
tiny fish, and that's
They
what you were
did.
celebrating all day. And the only fish we caught all day were all big fish. All of them.
Yes. Yeah, they were big, but they weren't. So if there
Hold
was
on,
a
no,
competition,
They were the
If it
same
was-
size as our fish.
No.
Until
if it
you
was
got
a
a little bit
competition
bigger.
for the biggest, like the heaviest fish, we would have won hands down.
Oh
No,
yeah.
no.
I mean, we
You
did.
guys had the long ones, so there
So
you go.
for anybody out there that didn't watch the videos, and you really should watch the one on KC Happy Camper and the one on Paddleheads, and compare the almighty anglers. But you really can't make this up. So the quick version of it is that Ben literally, I moved a few months ago, and Ben lives down the road from me. Hey, see, I got the name right. Aha.
Yeah, there you go.
It took
Yep.
4 or 5 trips to figure that out, but so I jokingly said, "Well, he lives down the road, so how come him and I aren't partners?" And then all of a sudden, poof, you left me, buddy, Mr. Speedy Man, and you went with Mr. Bald Sexy Man, and so
Why not?
well, yeah. So what happens is great. So Ben and I, and we go out very comfortable because Ben is very comfortable in my canoe. He's very, very skilled in my prospector canoe. And we head out in the waves in the wind. And I said, I don't need your fish finder. I just need my talent and skill. Over that point, we'll catch a fish. And literally, I think second or third cast, whatever, I catch a pike. I got to say, no, it was not a good pike. It was a slimy little whatever. I know, but it was 19 inches. I measured it. In fact, I measured it in haste. I think it was probably bigger, but anyway. So measured it in 19 inches, and then throughout the day, you were catching bass, but they're never going to be 19 inches. So
Nope.
Ben and I said, we're just going to relax on our laurels and just watch them cry all day. Like, why not? And literally, it was like 6 minutes before the hour. Like we gave it to 6 p.m. before it got dark. And it calmed down, and you guys went out in the water, and we're on the shore. And I got cheers to you, man. I got to say, like first of all, you caught more than one bass. You got multiple bass, but they were never 19 inches, right?
No.
And then you caught a pike, which was 19 inches, which I swear was the same pike I caught in the morning. And then you caught a bass that was 20 inches. You can't make, and this is like 6 minutes before the hour of the contest is over. And then you had gloaty man. Oh, look at us! I've risen from the moon.
There was just.
It's
it
hard
was
to
like-
let go. It's hard to let go.
Yeah, it is. It is, Adam. It was like it was beautiful. But then saying that, but then when we had the walleye fish off, then that was like, that was totally the opposite, right? Because them guys were the walleye guy. I've never caught a walleye in my life, but you and I, like all of a sudden we hit the mother spot of the walleye, and it's like they were desperate for walleye, and you and I showed up. So
Actually,
I mean, there still
that
is a chemistry. So I mean, it must be me. Obviously, it's me that, it doesn't matter, who I'm with. I will show up, and I will help out as much as I can.
But that was a beautiful moment, Ash. Like really,
It was.
2 years ago in the fall, they had 3 rods per piece, 6 rods. They had
you guys have got so much tackle. It's
yeah.
unbelievable.
And they were making fun of the old guys. They were like, "Oh, you
Yep.
old guys."
Yep.
And the day
Your
before,
tackle box was a plastic shopping bag.
It was. It's because my daughter, the day before, my daughter in Hamilton, which is a few hours away, she said, "Dad, do you have any fishing stuff?" And I got so excited she wanted to go fishing, so I drove down and gave her everything. Here you go, here you go.
Yeah.
And I panicked. I realized, I don't have anything for fishing, so I went to Canadian Tire. $14.99. It was the rod and reel with the line in it,
Yeah.
special, and jigs that were pink jig that had white tail.
And now, how much were them jigs and them how much?
20 bucks. 20 bucks.
If that,
If
right?
not. And then so those guys made fun of us going out, and then we didn't. And then I said, "Well, I have a fish finder. It's called me." I said, "Let's go to that point." Well, we caught 12 walleye, and they caught what?
Oh, come on, it wasn't
Nothing.
12.
Nothing.
Oh, come on.
They were sweating because they had this walleye fish supper all planned and everything, and it's like they were majorly sweating, and it's like, so
No, we caught a couple walleye. We caught a couple walleye, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah, we provided walleye for our dish.
One.
Yeah.
No.
One.
Nope.
We caught.
Yep. Yeah.
Listen,
Oh God. Yeah. It was like one after the other, and it's like, oh my God.
I feel like I got to start
There's
wearing
this,
a fishing gear like that.
I've never
Get
caught
his luck.
walleye until that point, and it's like, yep. He's like, let's go over there, and then soon as just drop them on the bottom. What have you got there, Mr. Colin?
Cheers.
I've got Glenmorangie. Cheers, everyone. What have you two guys got? Sourpuss. That looks like sourpuss. Adam, are you drinking sourpuss?
I'll never tell.
Oh, okay. What have you got?
I've got an IPA.
Oh, okay. All right, you're on the beer.
I can't drink beer anymore. It inflames my gout. So
no,
I
that's
stick
not
with
good.
liquor. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is
Either
gin
way.
and like sparkling water. You know, bubblies. It's what I was drinking when we went out in the fall.
Yeah. Nice.
It's
Pretty
very
good.
light, very fresh. Very
like
refreshing.
you. Very
Exactly.
light.
Light and fresh. That's right,
Light.
baby.
So, do
Like
you guys have any
fruity.
trips planned? Anything coming up?
May. Oh, by the way, end of May. I'm in Portugal first week of May.
No, don't do that again. Don't do
see-
that again.
Well,
Like
last year it was you.
for good
We'll
reason.
take his spot. We'll take his spot.
Oh
we'll come.
man! Just so you here's a question for everybody out there. We've always gone the second week in May. The long.
Go on.
If that goes in your mouth, I'm out of here. We always go the second weekend in May, the Mother's Day, which my mother hates me for because it's Mother's Day week.
Yeah,
We
but
go.
look what happened. The curse of the Mother's Day.
Well, yeah, we do get some bad weather. But then all of a sudden now you're going off to these all foreign countries, whatever, and then we have to go later and we catch no fish because you don't catch brookies and Lakers at the end of May in Algonquin. They're gone by then.
Yeah, we do. So it's either the second week or the last weekend. So
You can do the second week?
Yeah, we could do the second week or the last weekend. So
You
we'll
guys can figure that out
later.
later. Kevin, do you have any winter stuff lined up?
Yeah. I'm waiting for you told me that this place was fantastic, the Kingston area, to go ice fishing, but there's no ice because winter hasn't arrived yet.
So there are. Look for lakes that might be sheltered and small and slightly shallow. I don't want to say too much, but there are some lakes in the area that are stocked with brook trout that might have a layer of ice on them.
Aren't you the guy that had a video where you were out in the ice and some local was yelling at you saying you were going to die?
Yes, as I was checking it, yeah. Yeah, that was me.
Actually, that video got like 3 million views on TikTok, I think.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Really everyone liked that. But I mean, it's not a bad thing that somebody was looking out for your safety.
It was super nice. Yeah. It was like a very like typical kind of Canadian fight, you know? Everybody's just like, we're kind of yelling at each other just because we care. Like, hey, I don't want you to die. What are you doing out there? Don't be an idiot. It was nice.
And you're like, it's okay. Thank you. I'm all right, sir. I got all my tools. I'm all safe, ready to go.
Thanks, though.
You going ice fishing with him?
I would, because he's a local. He lives down the road.
Well, so here's the thing, though. This year, I'm actually kind of skipping out on the ice fishing. I'm going to Brazil for 2 months.
What?
What?
Yeah.
Brazil?
So I'll be living with my girlfriend and her family for a couple months and
Oh wow,
for
Wow.
life. And
hey, awesome.
yeah,
So you
You guys
doing
looking
some
for a new
fishing
friend?
over there?
I'm hoping to do some fishing. Luana said the place that she used to go fishing is now filled with caimans, so she's got to find a new place to go.
Wow.
Little alligators.
Oh, okay. We're
Yeah,
game.
sorry.
Wow. Holy. So it
Um,
looks like it's you and I, Adam, do some ice fishing.
There you go.
Well, you know what?
Yeah,
You're
buddy.
not far from me.
Don't have to yell.
No.
I'm
no,
not
we're
yelling. I'm just excited. Look, let us know in
Yeah.
the chat if I'm yelling, okay?
Yeah.
But he's telling
Yep.
me to be quiet. My kids are upstairs probably trying to go to sleep right now.
Yep.
So let me know in the chat how it sounds. And if my wife starts texting me to tell me to keep it down, then I guess I know.
I would
No.
love to see a video, Ben, of you and your girlfriend in Brazil and her showing you stuff.
What kind,
Hey,
of,
what
stuff?
kind of stuff?
Just
Fishing
stuff,
stuff?
because he's taking her on these great canoe trips, and he's like, here's how we do it, here's how we do it, and then flips in the water. He literally flips into the water in his canoe. Oh, that was just make believe. I know what I'm doing. I would love to get her to do a video of you in Brazil, and she's like, "This is how it's done, man."
So what kind of fishing do they do in Brazil? Is it freshwater? Like
Yeah, like
Lot of-
like river fishing. They do a lot
Yeah.
of trolling, and they hand line while they're trolling.
Oh, okay.
And
Neat.
they pretty much just fish for food. It's not really for
Yeah.
sport typically.
No.
And they go fishing and camping in their winter, which is our summer. Just 'cause her family has a little spot where in the winter the waters drop low enough that it creates all of these sand islands, and it's safe for them to go and camp on those
Wow.
islands. Because normally, I guess camping is something you don't really do in Brazil because the jaguars are a bit of an issue.
Yeah, really. No kidding, right? Wow.
Does bear spray work
Christine,
for
you and
jaguars?
I are going fishing with. We're leaving.
I
Yeah,
guess
come on
you'll
down to
have
Brazil.
So, okay, then Adam, anytime, just give me a call. We'll go ice
Let's
fishing.
do that,
together.
Ashley. I would be up
Yes.
for that. I'm
Yep.
borrowing because my ice tent is toast, but Ben's not going to be here for the winter, so I'm borrowing his.
Yeah, just use
So we
his.
have everything we need. I got all this stuff you need. I'll take
Right.
care of it.
I even brought my
Yep.
deeper, so there's an extra fish finder.
There you go, Ashley. You
Right.
can have your own fish finder.
Because you won't have
Right.
Kevin, like your normal fish finder.
Well, we can invite him if he wants to come. Then that's I don't want him to feel left out.
Well, it sounds like he's going to be in Brazil.
Well, you're gonna need all the lines.
Oh,
you need.
he'll be in
He's chasing
Brazil.
a
Yes,
special
that's
trout.
right. He already invited himself to go to Brazil. So
Yes, that is true.
just you and I, Adam, and we can rekindle and bond
Well,
again.
careful with that
and-
rekindle word, okay? Let's just stick to ice fishing.
The
Oh,
most
okay.
the most magical moment on that fall trip, I gotta say, and I love doing it in slow mo. I got on film is when Ashley was so excited he actually kissed you on the mouth. He actually kissed you on the mouth, Adam, and I'm like, oh, this is not going to go well at all.
Look, listen. So that would have been the second time. Like my face was really close to Ashley's face twice that
That's
weekend.
true.
And I'll tell you what, I was not prepared. If I don't know if the viewers have seen the video, they know what I'm talking
No.
about. But if not, Ashley and I were going to go back out fishing, and he was eating some chips, and I was like, "Oh, great idea! We need some motivational chips." And I had some stuff in my hands. My hands were full, so I was like,
Yep.
"Ashley, can you feed me one?" And he's like, "Of course."
Yes.
And so he goes to hand me one, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Hang on a minute, actually, hang on a minute," and then he puts it
Yeah.
in his mouth and
Yeah.
feeds me from his mouth. And of course, I got the
That's
camera
true.
on. I'm feeling the pressure. I'm like, I have to do it, and so
Yeah.
I ate the chip right out of his mouth. And you know what?
Why wouldn't you?
Look, Ashley,
Because
your breath
that's
wasn't that bad, honestly.
no, it wasn't.
I thought it was going to be worse.
Really?
I'm just kidding.
I did brush my teeth a lot.
That's
It was-
right.
It was
Me
like
either.
it was a perfect moment. It was,
It was
like
very funny though. It was
the
very
the only thing that would make that perfect if I'd lifted you up in the air
That's right.
like that.
Good
and then
luck.
held you down and you took that chip out of my mouth. That would have been the perfect moment. It was
Oh.
like it's like what's that movie that I'm thinking of? It's like Now I've had the time of my life. That one.
It's
And
called
I've
Mill Born.
never felt this way before till I met Adam. At least I can remember his name. You can't even remember which one's which.
You're doing good. We'll see about later this year when we get out next time. We might have to just remind
Yeah.
But you guys
No,
wouldn't be the only ones. Honestly, it's not your old age that's doing it. Other people get.
I think we keep the same teams because, like, we have chemistry. It's like, yeah. At least you don't make me make an anchor and then I don't catch a goddamn fish.
No,
And at least when I don't catch a fish, you don't go, oh, you don't catch a fish. Oh.
That's right.
It's
We're a
you
team.
know,
We're a team.
you don't gloat, right?
Okay, I think
He's
that's a good plan.
speechless. He's actually speechless. Come on,
No,
say your
did
words.
you not hear me, Ashley? I think that's
Sorry.
a good plan. But listen,
Yes.
gentlemen, I'm sorry to cut us off here, but we
No,
have to
no
move along
problem.
with the show. And
Yep.
your wiggly fish there has just become all too distracting.
Oh,
So-
God.
Our next guest is waiting in the green room. We're gonna let you guys go and try and
Okay.
relax a little bit after what just happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
And get our composure together. Thank you guys
Alrighty.
a lot for doing this. We know we were a week behind here, but you guys
That's
made an
fine.
accommodation. So
Yeah.
thank you. This was super fun. We're both really looking forward to hanging out with you guys and going fishing. together.
Yes,
So
Yes.
definitely.
Do something.
And we will invite Mr. Collin to do some ice
we will.
fishing with us.
We will.
Because it wouldn't be the same if he wasn't with us.
I'll bring some wet wipes.
Oh, no, bring yourself some wet
Okay.
wipes.
Get rid of them, Ben. Get rid of them.
Okay.
All
Thanks,
right.
guys.
See you guys.
See you guys.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Need a second.
take a breather. Holy crap. My face hurts a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
That's how I feel every time I hang out with those guys, honestly.
Yeah, it's
I can't
nonstop.
stop laughing.
Yeah.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so our next guest is Britney from Black Pearl Kayaking.
Yes.
And we tripped with her 2 years ago.
I think it's 2 now. Yeah.
It was a little while ago, but that was super fun. And Britney is very familiar with the park we were in, Kawartha Highlands, so she was able to show us some really cool stuff. But anyways, let's bring her in. We can talk about that trip a little bit and then find out a little bit more about what she's got in store for this year.
Hey,
Hi guys,
how's it going?
it's going pretty good.
Did you catch
I'm
any of that?
really curious to hear about this conference paddle, thing we're gonna have in Brazil, right? Like we're all
Yeah.
going. Yeah.
Well, apparently I wasn't invited, so
Well, you don't like flying,
that's true.
so it's gonna be hard to get you
I think I
there.
could paddle there.
We'll have to get you a kayak and kayak
I
there,
could paddle there.
for sure. Yeah. No, I am hoping to do a bit of sea kayaking. I'm going to be on the coast for a little bit of the trip, and then kind of in the center of Brazil for the rest of it. But
That's
they may
amazing.
also have some.
So before we get too deeply into that, I think we should introduce Britney a little bit here, just in case anyone who's watching
for sure.
doesn't know who Britney is. Brittany, you run an outdoor Instagram page, and you're on TikTok as well. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah,
And so you
Instagram
do
and
all kinds of
TikTok.
outdoor content, which is how we kind of came across you.
Mhm.
And we all kind of were chatting back and forth on Instagram for a while, and we decided like it would be super fun to try and do a trip together. So we did that. But I think there's like, besides the fact that we really enjoy what you're doing and it was super awesome to meet you and hang out, you are like this special thing to us and for the channel, because you kind of helped us understand who we were a little bit, really is what it comes down to. And I don't want to put any pressure on you, so sorry if this is feeling
That's
like
okay.
pressure. But you introduced us to that term adventure fishing, which up until that point, like we didn't have the words to describe what it was that we were doing. And like those words came out of your mouth and instantly we were both like, oh, that's
What?
it. This is
Yeah.
what this is the thing. This is the
Yeah.
thing. And so ever since then, every time I use that word, I think of you. Every time we go out, it's like I couldn't be more grateful. So anyways, that's Brittany.
Yeah.
Is there
Huge.
anything, Brittany, you'd like to say about your content or like kind of some of the stuff you're into?
So I didn't know exactly what it was I was doing. Like I have grown up in the outdoors. I've always enjoyed fishing, hunting, and like camping. I used to camp in the Kawartha Highlands before it was actually the park. Like to the point I remember we were on a camping trip and they had nailed these metal plaques to some of the trees on places that like campsites that friends and family and people had built before. And it was like, as of May, whatever year, you're going to have to go online and register your campsite. And some people were so upset about that. But we'll circle back to that. But yeah, I was always in the Kawartha Highlands. We were always fishing. It was always adventures after adventure after adventure. And when I got talking with some of my girlfriends, I was, getting on Instagram, getting on TikTok, and I was trying to put a label to what it is I do. And so a group of us girls sitting around a campfire one night came up with, adventure fishing. They're like, that's what you do. I can adventure even further with the more fish I catch, the less of my reserve food I have to eat. And yeah, it keeps me in the woods as long as I can. And also helps me stock up the freezer a little bit at home. I very much like fish. It's my birthday tomorrow, and I actually have some fresh fish in my fridge.
No way.
Tomorrow. Yeah.
That's awesome. It's actually my birthday today. So
actually?
Yeah.
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you for tomorrow.
Great. Us fellow Capricorns.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, the term like really like nails down like what it is you do in a nutshell, which is awesome.
Hang on, I'm curious though. What does that mean for you though? Like if you could describe, besides the, what you're doing, if you could describe adventure fishing, how would you describe it?
I go on adventures to go to places where there's no other people, where I can fish lakes with absolutely no pressure, where sometimes I find myself in places where it's like, it's almost not even fair because the fish just haven't experienced what I'm using before. Like there's this lake when I was a kid that like every cast was a bass, like no problem. And so I'm always seeking that kind of thrill and adventure. And I just go wherever I can and see what I can find.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I feel kind of the same way about it. It's really a special feeling when you're on a lake all by yourself and you just look around and think like, how is this even possible? How is nobody else here? Like such an amazing place. Did you have somebody when you were young to like take you out, or were you just like allowed to go out on your own and do that kind of stuff?
Oh, we were kind of feral children. So we were definitely allowed to just take off and go do our thing. Like it wasn't uncommon. My brother is actually like the best angler I know. He's got a horseshoe shove somewhere. But he would like just take off on his bicycle and go and find different spots to fish and like come home, and it wouldn't be uncommon to just on a random night, whoever was out fishing, we'd come back and have a bunch of fish and clean them up and fry some fish and kind of come together as a family for this awesome like midnight meal sometimes. Like I was a little more lazy. I wasn't biking with my fishing rod. I kind of switched to, cars and showing other people some of my spots. But even when I was little, there was always, I didn't know this wasn't a thing everywhere. I call them community boats, but there's a lot of lakes where people will retire an old boat and it'll just be hidden in the woods somewhere. So growing up, I was totally one of those kids that would just, you grab your life jacket and a little tackle tray and a paddle and your rod, and you just go find one of these hidden community boats and push it out on the lake and hope you don't sink.
Wait, so is this,
That's cool.
Are these the boats? Like I never knew. Every time I've seen one of these boats in the woods, I'm just like, whose is this? Who just has extra boats to like leave around? Do you know more about that? Like, I don't know. I don't know if you know anything about
Well, yeah. So they're not like all community boats. It definitely depends on where you go. Some like I've seen discussions on Reddit, people talking about this, and it's very divided. It's like some people are like, it's not yours, don't touch it. And then other people are like, this is just basically garbage that's sitting in the middle or like in the middle of the woods. Like, why can't I use it? It's just sitting there. If I put it back, everything should be fine, right? So it's kind of divided. I think it definitely depends. Like, if you know that it's a community boat, then like like go for it.
But it's
sure.
like it's
Honestly?
public land, right? Like you said, it's pretty much garbage. Like as far as anyone else knows, it's just left there.
Yeah, they're normally really rough. Like I bring a tube of silicone with me. um, like marine paste, you can't go wrong.
Now, hang on. Is that from
awesome.
experience? Like, did something
Yes.
happen and now you bring silicone?
Yeah, I cracked a hole in a kayak once on an adventure on Copper Lake in the Kawartha Highlands, and it was a pretty good size hole, and I still had to get like 2 lakes back to the boat launch, and I had nothing to patch it with, so I had to use a spruce tree because the sap's really gummy on
Nice.
that. So I dug into a spruce tree with my knife and like made up a little sawdust sap goo and stuffed this crack the best I could. And then I just paddled as fast as I could. And then I'd stop again and find another spruce tree and do it again until I got out. But
She's so much
yeah.
more badass than we are.
Yeah, we would have been
just
like
sorry.
searching. We would have been walking around with our phones, like, there's no signal here.
Yeah.
There's no signal here.
Oh, so there's a boat. Wave them down. Wave them down.
I'm
That's
definitely a MacGyver. Like I always have a roll of duct tape in my car. Like I will find a way to make things work.
So where did you learn that kind of stuff? Like, where does that come from?
I guess the way I was raised. Like my mom's a very much can-do kind of person. Problem solving is a very I like to take things apart and understand how they work, and I like to know how the world around me works. I'm kind of one of those like mentally illuminated neurodivergent people. So figuring things out and finding solutions for weird problems is something I excel at.
That's awesome. Do you have any fishing goals for this year?
Ooh, for this year, I'm trying to learn how to catch trout.
Okay.
There's a couple of lakes in the middle of nowhere. Like the Anna's been heavily stocking in our area, and I want to try and purposely catch some because I've accidentally caught some, and they are absolutely delicious. So I would like to get a little better at that and see if I can't kind of step into that world a little bit more.
Cool. Like Lakers specifically, or just any trout?
Any trout, really. I need to learn about the whole family and then go from there. But yeah, I accidentally caught 2 last year in Algonquin when I was river running. And yeah, I smoked them over the campfire in one of those sausage basket things. And it was so good. So good.
Okay, so just quickly here for a second, because we do have a live chat going. Our next guests are the Average Joe Fishing Show guys, and they are prolific trout anglers. And so they just said they'll give you all the information you need to know when they come on. So if you want to stick around, and anyone who's watching, you want to learn anything about trout fishing, these guys know what they're talking
They're
about.
the trout slayers.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm definitely sticking around.
Well, tell us about some of your trips this year. You just said you did some river running in Algonquin and smoked some trout.
Mm-hmm.
What else did you do this year?
So I ventured out of province a little bit. So I went to Cavendish Provincial Park in PEI and didn't do any fishing there, but just enjoyed some camping, went and did a beachfront festival. I did Killarney to hike the Crack. I'm trying to do the 4-season challenge. I want to have pictures of all 4 seasons at the top.
Oh, cool.
And it's beautiful. I don't know if anybody, like, if you like to hike too, this is a place to like go camp out, have some fun. The paddling's beautiful too, but I haven't done a lot of backcountry there because I just fell in love with this trail. And
Cool.
yeah, somebody was like, oh, if you do the 4-season challenge, I'm like, okay, I'm doing it. So I've done summer and fall now. I need to do winter and then spring. I have to time my spring one right though, so I'm not like running from black flies, but that's on the list.
Well, that's awesome. That sounds super sweet.
Would
And
you have
then-
plans to go do the winter hike?
Yes, so I'm going to do
that's
that a little later in the season, probably like February or March. Mm-hmm.
Is it
And,
like a multi-day hike? Is it does it take you multiple days to do that hike?
No, it's actually only a couple of hours.
Okay.
You climb like the way this rock goes. It's this huge gorge that you like climb up onto the top, and then it's a view that like you can see Georgian Bay in the distance, and like all these lakes and these rolling hills, and it's white. This rock is like sun bleached white. It's so pretty, especially in the fall colors. If you go back on my Instagram, there's some fall photos of it, and maybe I'll post another couple after this, but yeah, it's stunning. So now I want to see it in the snow, and then I want to see it in the spring when everything starts to bud with that fresh little green.
Oh, it would be so cool if you could be there, right? Like, you know, that perfect time. And Ben, we went camping once. Remember, we slept on the boat ramp, and the conditions were just so perfect that the snow, like the puffy snow, just rested on like even the tiniest twigs. And so like the whole forest is covered in snow, and there's no sound. Because everything, like, it's just that if you can experience the woods at that moment, because like it doesn't always stay like that. Usually all that snow will melt off the trees, even if there's just sunlight. It's really like a timing thing, but
and like
so
perfect conditions too. Like you need those weather conditions where the snow's like wet enough that it sticks to the trees and it holds on and doesn't melt off.
Yeah, if you could get a photo with it looking like that, that would be something real special.
That would be like perfect timing for sure.
Yeah.
I love living in the woods for that reason though. It's like I get to see that often. Sometimes my drive to work even is all like back roads cute, and then all the snow's stuck to the trees, and it just looks like a Hallmark card.
That's awesome. So for anybody watching, if they want to follow you on Instagram, it's Black Pearl Kayaking.
Yep.
Cool. So yeah, give Britney a follow and check out some of those photos.
Yeah, definitely post those because I'm now that I know you're doing that, I'm very interested to see those pictures. That would be super cool.
Definitely will. Yeah, I need to get on posting. I was a little slack on it this year, but I didn't do as many trips as I normally do, so I kind of ventured off. Or I don't know. When I say I didn't do as many trips, I mean like my top year, I did 24 trips in and out of the woods, gear up and down. But like, I don't know, last year was definitely under 15. So it's like that. It feels a little slower, but I live right next to the Kawartha Highlands pretty much. So anytime there's like a cancellation or there's a schedule shifting in my work and I can disappear for a night or two, I totally have a backpack always packed and ready. I have to grab my food, pick one of my boats, and I go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You spend way more time out there than we do.
I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's my favorite place. That's my childhood, the Kawartha Highlands. So anytime I can disappear, right, especially when if it's gonna rain and people like cancel all of their camping, so people aren't going to drive 4 hours sometimes if it's going to rain and pour. So some of the best campsites will all of a sudden become available on the site, and I'll just pick them up last minute and paddle in. And sometimes the rain doesn't even come.
Yeah.
We learned that actually when we did the trip. Remember?
Yeah.
That big storm was supposed to come.
Oh,
and it never did. And it never did.
It swung south instead. It was the perfect window. And then, we had perfect weather.
That was funny, actually. That whole day, Ben and I like rushed to get to that campsite because he was like, dude, there's a big storm coming. And I kept looking up, going, I don't think the storm's coming.
But it says right here.
And it did rain like a little tiny bit. But it wasn't really much at all. But yeah, you're totally right. Like so often, and I get it. Like if you got to drive, like you said, 3 or 4 hours to get to a campsite or a park and then get into the campsite and they're calling for like terrible weather, you're looking at it going, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, actually this year, the 7-day trip that my girlfriend and I did in Kawartha, that was actually supposed to be an 8-day trip. But the day before it was just miserable wind and rain. And we just decided it's not worth it.
And that was through Kawartha Highlands.
That was in Kawartha, yeah. And I think it did actually, it did storm pretty good.
That's a good park, honestly. Anytime we've gone there, the fishing's always been good. Like, Brittany, do you find the fishing good in the park there?
Oh, yeah. So
Well,
So
maybe
because
hang on.
I know
You don't want to
it.
say too much, right?
Well, I won't give away locations because
Right.
I am on that. Like I don't burn holes,
Yeah.
but I'll steal other people's holes. But like I don't burn my own. But no, because I grew up in there before it was a park and they put specific routes in. There was lots of lakes and places where we would go and fish and camp still that aren't even technically on the maps in there. So there's some really awesome fishing in the Kawartha Highlands. You just have to be ballsy enough to venture off the beaten path a little more.
Yeah, I do think it is important. Like, it's nice to have a park like that that is accessible. Like, there's a lot of campsites that aren't that hard to get to.
Yeah.
And so for people that are just getting into it, having a place like that to go where the fishing can actually be okay. Like, it's, you don't want to send people like, oh yeah, this is so great, you should get out and try it. And then they go out and they don't catch any fish. And it's like, well, you know, that actually wasn't nearly as fun as I was hoping.
Yeah.
So a park like that where like the fishing's okay is a nice thing. I guess we should stop talking about it because then it's not going to be okay anymore, right? Fishing at Kawartha Highlands sucks.
Yeah, go other places.
Yeah, go somewhere else. Do you have like a dream trip? Like you said, you spent your childhood in Kawartha Highlands and you love that place, but is there somewhere else that you've got your eye on that you'd really like to go that you haven't?
Yeah, I want to go to Canora, Lake of the Woods. So my great-great-grandfather was kind of a paddler, and he guided a lot in that. Well, he guided all the way from like Red River down to Ottawa, but that was where he called home, was Lake of the Woods, and he paddled all over the place there. And I want to go paddle some of like the traditional routes that my family used to do.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So you mean like on Lake of the Woods, like proper, I want to say, or like in the Canora area?
All of it. Like he was a paddle guide and used to like move military battalions, I think you'd call them. Or like he literally paddled back and forth like from Ottawa literally up to the Red River. Like he did Lake Superior. He was all over the place. Like if you look at some of like there, it's interesting. There's stories about him cutting through like all the way into like Algonquin Park. He was down in Ojibwe territory. Like he was all over the place. The man lived to be 108 years old.
Wow.
And paddled for apparently 80 years of that.
Holy crap.
Yeah, he was a beast of a paddler. And
that
like,
makes my back hurt just thinking about that.
That guy knew Ontario like no one else.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So would you say that's got something to do with kind of why you feel this like draw to the outdoors?
I think so. Like it's very, that's why I call myself a paddle pirate. I come from many generations of paddlers. Like we're just, you know, doing our thing out in the woods. It feels, yeah, I feel really connected to it. It's nice to know that like it runs in my blood. My people have always done this, that this is something I can hang on to and teach my kids how to do. Like if you watch my content, my mom and me adventure together all the time. Like she is a backcountry paddling. She's like 5'2". She's tiny, but she's a beast, you know, like her and her little pelicans. She's pretty awesome. We call her Half Paddle Mary. We had an incident once where she just about drowned. We were walking our kayaks through the rapids, and what we'll do if it's not safe to shoot, we'll take our gear down and then we'll rope it out and we'll walk the shoreline and we'll float our boats down it and then get to the bottom and then get back in. Well, my mom had left her paddles broken down into two inside the kayak, and she hit a rock, and the way it tilted the kayak, it took on water. And so here's my little 5'2", like maybe 120-pound mother, hanging onto this rope on her bum, getting dragged on a rock, like refused to let it go. Refused. Like she's the most determined woman ever. She was not letting her boat go. And in safety circumstances, people, please just let your boat go. Somebody else can go get it at the bottom. Don't let it drag you into the water. That is not smart. So Stacy ended up grabbing my mom to help anchor her, and I just know how determined my mom is. There was no stopping it. I kind of just jumped in behind a rock and grabbed the rope, and we hauled the kayak out of the current and was good to go. But half of her paddle went missing in that incident. And we were Crown Land, river running, no service, middle of nowhere. Like, there was no way to get another half of a paddle for her. So we shot the rest of the rapids and did our thing. And my mom did it all with a half a paddle. Like, everything we did, she was just little half paddling going to town. Like, so she's half paddle Mary.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you have like that name now.
Yeah, like a great earned nickname.
Yeah. Ben has one too. I just can't say it on him.
What is it?
It's Honey, remember? Just
Okay, right.
just kidding. Just kidding. Okay, well do you have any other fun stories like that? Like I didn't even think to ask. Like, I'm sure you got a bunch of stories. Anything else crazy like that happen?
So many. You want to hear when I joined the 40-inch club?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I was not prepared. I had never caught a fish this big. I was just bass fishing. I wasn't looking for a swamp monster, but the swamp monster found me. And I was in like a 9-foot beach kayak, like that I had DIY'd with like hardware store plumbing parts to like make it a fishing kayak. Like I was.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was rough, but I was like loving life, doing my thing. And I had a red and white jitterbug that I was just messing around with, tossing it, having a good time, like letting it bubble along. You know, they're my favorite. And this beast of a pike bit into my jitterbug and was like an aggressive fight. I've never had a pike act like that. No, it was not a muskie. But this thing like towed me in my kayak. It did not want to come anywhere near me. I didn't have a net. Like when you're portaging things, you're like, do I really need it? So sometimes I'm not smart and I'm like, no, I don't. But now I do. Now I do. There's always a net. But it took me forever to get her to the side of my kayak, and I couldn't even get her up out of the water. I didn't have like bigger pliers, so I was like very trying to like keep her calm, keep myself calm. And I had her just like doing the nice little temple press and had her kind of to the side of the kayak, and here I am with like my little needle nose utility like multi-tool trying to get this out of the side of her mouth, and she is just thrashing her head. She did not like me. It was not a good situation.
That's sketchy.
Oh yeah, it taught me that I need to be better prepared. I went out and bought some better gear after that. I was like, I will never put myself in a situation like that again. I was alone. I wasn't in a canoe. I was in a kayak where this fish was not coming in the kayak with me. Like, I was not prepared for something like that. And yeah, so I let her go. Everything worked out fine. There was no. Yeah, I didn't hurt her. It was good. She swam away, but oh my goodness, that was like.
You're lucky didn't lose that jitterbug too, because like anytime you're just like I assume you didn't have a leader on, or did you?
No, I did. I always have a leader on.
Oh, okay, well there you go.
Yeah.
See, you were prepared. You were prepared enough.
Just the leader. That's
right?
it.
I think that's one of the things I worry about the most is like leaving a lure in a fish's mouth and it getting off, and just knowing that it's swimming around with a hook hanging off its face.
For sure, yeah. And there's like that feeling of having a big fish and then feeling underprepared.
Yeah.
It's not a great feeling for sure.
No, it's
So
scary. That was my scariest fishing moment for sure.
Yeah, you're so worried for that fish, and also yourself, like when you know about their teeth and stuff.
Yeah, you got to stick your hand near that mouth.
Yeah. But yeah, you also like don't want to fish this big and this beautiful to pass away in your
No.
hands. And...
It's a stressful situation,
yeah.
and I think most people have been there. Honestly,
Sometimes you gotta learn the hard way. Like that, I was never
yeah.
expecting. Like I purposely don't try to target giant fish. That is not my cup of tea. I fish to eat. I'm very much like that. I have no desire, right? Even when it comes to like the fish that I do eat, there's a really solid rule in my family that if you're little, right, you get a kiss and you get to go back because you deserve the time to grow. If you're big, you've earned the right to go back, right? You get to go back. But if you're in that perfect average medium, you're going in the fry pan. Like that's so I don't try to target things that I'm not going to eat, that aren't part of, my my goal is to be as self-sustaining as I possibly can. Like I don't buy seafood other than shrimp, or if I'm on the East Coast, I will buy some fresh seafood, but like I don't buy fish from the store. I try not to buy meat. My family, we do our own meat birds. Like I'm a farm fresh egg kind of girl, which
cool.
Fun fact for everybody who does your backcountry camping, I hear dehydrated eggs are disgusting. But you don't have to refrigerate farm fresh eggs. You can take it in that little suitcase and those can sit on your counter for up to 6 months. So if you want fresh eggs in the backcountry, just support a local farmer and get some farm fresh eggs.
That seems sketchy though.
I heard you have to rotate the eggs if you have them sitting for that long. This is a bit not fishing related, but I heard like you just can't let the yolk touch the side of the egg or else that will make it go bad. Maybe that was just something I heard.
Maybe in the 6 month span, but I've never had eggs last that long. Like we sell off eggs and then I use them up and right. But if I was ever to try to store them long term, I probably would have to look into something like that. I know people do like weird salts and things like that and like brine them in jars, and that apparently gives them a shelf life of like 2 years or something, but I don't know, where they're still in their shell and they're raw and you can use them, but
right.
No, I haven't gotten that far into self-sustaining.
Sweet. Well, thanks a lot, Britt, for coming on. I really appreciate that. And for anybody watching, just to repeat it, if they want to follow you, check out Black Pearl Kayaking on Instagram, and they can see you on your adventures and getting the pictures of the 4 seasons of the crack.
Yes.
That sounds wrong.
I know. I was gonna say get pictures of Britney's crack, and then I realized how bad that was. And I just ended up saying it
Okay, it's falling off the rails now.
Yeah.
Brittany, thank you so much. Super happy to like see you, and so glad that you came and did this. So thank you. And we've been talking about it, but let's do a trip this year. We got to get out and go do some fishing again.
I'm down. Let's whatever I'm in, or any last minute Kawartha Highland things where you're like, I'm going, I'll just show up. Like, just tell me where you're at. I'll find you.
We'll let you know.
Cool.
Sweet. Yeah. Awesome.
Awesome, Brittany. Thank you.
Thanks again.
We'll see you later.
See you.
Happy birthday. Bye.
Thanks. Happy birthday to you too. Bye. Awesome.
Oh, geez, this feels like work.
No, I don't know. It kind of.
I'm like worked up.
You're all worked up?
I'm all worked up. How do you feel? Sit back,
I
man.
feel good. I'm like into it. I'm like right into it, man. I'm
you're
just
making me nervous.
I'm sorry.
Just sit. There you go.
Is this better?
There you go.
Like this.
We don't have to get too close. Hope everybody is enjoying the show. I'm having a good time.
Yeah, I'm having a great time.
Okay, good. Yeah. Hope you're having a good time. Our next guests are probably one of the best angling duos we know.
Probably one of the worst named channels, though. You know. I just don't get it.
There is something about these average types. They're really humble, maybe is what it is, but it's kind of just a lie.
All of the YouTube channels or Instagram accounts that are like average this, average that. They're never average.
They couldn't sell themselves if they, were like, oh, we're the best ever. So that's not going to work. Average is relatable.
It's a good thing they're good guys. They're cool guys.
It is true.
So our next pair are the Average Joe Fishing Show.
Average Joe's Fishing
Show. Average Joe's Fishing Show.
Gotta get it right.
Hey, Lyle and Brendan.
How are you?
Brendan, you are muted, sir.
That's okay.
Hello.
That big, beautiful Brocky.
You hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. But we're totally enamored by those big fish behind Lyle there.
Look at that, eh?
Oh,
I didn't know we
man.
were showing off. If we wanted that big fish, I'd show you some real big fish. But
Oh, don't worry. We got some of your big fish up here. We'll get.
Hang on. Lyle, is that a rainbow?
That's a speckle.
What? Wow. Oh my God.
Gorgeous.
And you like my perch?
That is awesome. That's one big perch. Are those skin mounts?
They are, yeah. Brennan's dad did them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
he knows
Cool.
a guy.
How you guys been?
Good. You?
Good.
Great. You guys have been busy. We've been seeing all the giant fish you've been posting.
Yeah.
It's been a slow couple weeks over the Christmas break. It's with different families, dinners and such. But we're finally getting out. I got out tonight. Had some good luck with some walleye. Got the fiance.
Yeah, I thought
on
you
a
were going to
nice
be
one,
tuning
so-
in from the ice hut.
I was gonna camp tonight, but I didn't end up doing it. I'm gonna do three consecutive evenings and film a good video doing that.
Cool.
Yeah, so
That's awesome.
So, but you had some good luck tonight.
yeah, it was pretty good. We biggest one tonight was 22 inches. Lost a lot. I lost a nice pike at the hole, snapped me off, but I don't use leaders. I give them a fair chance,
Oh, is that what you call that?
Yeah.
Why don't you use
12-pound
leaders?
test. I just never have. Honestly, if I'm targeting pike, I'm gonna have on like 25 or 30 pound fluoro, and that's what I'll run, and I'll just play them.
Interesting. I mean,
But
that
the-
works because like the leaders you use are fluoro, right? They're just like 100-pound.
Well, yeah, 60 to 100 pound.
Yeah.
Well, for muskie, yeah, 100 pound. Yeah, for pike, it's usually like 60 pound for leaders.
Yeah.
How about yourself, Lyle? Do you like to go a little bit risky without the leaders too?
I don't really target pike all that much. I'm not gonna lie, but I did catch my first couple muskies this year, and I was using 80 pound for that.
Nice.
I've seen those pictures. I think we got a couple of them. Maybe we can pull them up here.
Of the muskie? No, I don't think
No?
so. No.
I gave you
I
some.
would have
you?
caught them on 8 pound.
You didn't give them to me. No.
No, we don't have them there. Okay, well, tell
I've
us.
got this really impressive fish by Lyle, though.
Oh yeah.
Okay, wait. Let's talk about that first. Was that the one on the trip we did?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that
what
was the one on the
trained.
trip. Yeah.
That was so funny, man. Okay, so tell us what happened there, guys.
Well, we were just, I guess, paddling the shore, and we always do. Switched up there for a minute.
Sorry, yeah.
It's okay. We always do. Brennan's generally paddling, so he'll troll, and
Like Kevin.
cast the shore, and till we break down the lake, see what's happening. And I casted to shore and got a tap, and didn't think much of it. Reeled it in, and the little trout was on. So
Came in with his eyes like this, just dead.
yeah, hooked him right
Right
through
through the
head.
brain.
Yeah, had to keep him.
Yeah, that's right. We
Tasted
ate him
good,
that
though.
night.
Oh, yeah, delicious.
Basically, like one bite.
That's
So
right.
one
That's the
bite
best.
rookie.
That's the best trout.
Bones and all.
Yeah.
All the flavors just packed into that small little morsel.
Yeah, that's right.
I will say though, because normally, obviously, most people would never keep a fish that small. But when we were with you guys on that trip, so just for anyone who doesn't know, we'll rewind here for a minute. We did a spring trip with you guys in Algonquin for brook trout earlier this year. I think we were out for 5 days, and it was awesome. Yeah, we had a great time. You guys really pushed us farther than
We
we'd ever
tested
gone
you.
before, like by far.
33 kilometers in the first day.
Yeah, it was a big day, like a big day.
But it definitely paid off in the end.
Yeah,
Getting those big,
Yeah.
beautiful brookies.
I
That's
got
it.
some nice
That's-
ones.
that's the face of a happy boy who has been chasing a fish like that for years.
Look at the
Um,
shades.
Yeah,
Look at the stash.
yeah, you were really styling. It was the spring look.
That's
What
right.
was I saying? What the heck was I saying?
They pushed us. They got us out there.
No, but there was a reason why we rewound. We were going to talk about that. Oh, that's right. So after this was the second day, you brained that tiny little trout there. And what I was going to say is normally most people wouldn't catch a fish or keep a fish that small. There's no meat on it. but you guys eat the trout with the skin on, which is something that neither one of us had ever done before.
What? No. I've seen it done. I just didn't eat it myself.
Well, I didn't
But
say
yeah,
you've
sorry,
never
sorry.
seen
Yeah,
it.
yeah, sorry.
Come on.
Sorry.
So, geez, my, gotta shut that alarm off. So when you're eating them like that, when you're just kind of gutting them, chopping the heads off, and then frying it up with the skin on, it's actually like a decent little snack to have a little like. Obviously, you wouldn't want to keep trout like that on purpose. But I guess the point is just like you guys kind of introduced us to that style of frying up fish, and it was good. I even told my wife and my kids we're doing a brook trout trip later this winter. And I was like, I'm gonna get you guys eating the skin, and they're like, "Ew!" I'm like, "Don't worry, I've been there, but I promise it's not."
Make
ew.
sure you
It's
take a pound of butter for the pan.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I've never seen so much butter thrown in for fish, but it was great. And
Yeah,
you guys cooking it over the fire too, with the butter and not having that burn. That was definitely not your first time. You guys cooked up a wicked meal for us.
The technique for sure.
Brendan is quite the backcountry cook. Lyle is clearly the
one who eats it.
We say he's the less domesticated one. He's just there to be served.
You gotta have somebody catch the fish.
That
right,
is true.
yeah.
That
Right.
is, although I'm pretty sure Brendan and I outfished you guys.
We won the tournament.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Oh,
That's true.
should we? Did you guys watch with Kevin and Ashley? Ashley and I went on for like 10 minutes about how badly we beat them. Should we do that? Brendan?
It's just something about us, you know.
So we haven't put that video out yet, but it is gonna come together, and it's gonna be a super fun video. But we did a trout competition with you guys, and same thing we did with Kevin and Ashley. We switched partners, so Ben was with Lyle, and I was with Brandon. And that was a tougher day of fishing for sure. The other days were a little better, but I think we pulled in 3 fish during the tournament, and at one point we were doubled up. We each had one in the net at the same time.
Yeah, big ones.
Yeah, and you guys caught nothing.
Yeah, big old goose eggs.
I had a nice one on the line.
Yeah,
for a moment.
I've heard that before.
That was the first hot week of the year, and the trout was starting to go deep, so it was kind of hard to figure out where they were, because prior to that, on Lyle and my previous trips, we were catching them either like top water or in the shallow. So that was where they just started to transition down to that thermocline. The warm water was getting deeper, and the fish were getting deeper.
So if we could give like a quick beginner or like quick kind of starter information for people who are chasing brookies or trout, let's keep it on brookies. Where should they look for brook trout in the spring?
Well, best time to go is May, because the water is generally like a uniform temperature from top to bottom. When the lakes turn over in the springtime, it's going to be cold in the shoreline, in the shallow, so you can go around the lake. Trout are cruising the shoreline. They're looking for bait. They're looking for minnows, right? So they're going to be in that shallow water, that sub 10 feet in the first 3 weeks of May anyways, you could say. So cast the shores. It never hurts to, like, a lot of times what Lyle and I will do is I will troll and he'll cast, because I'm paddling. So it's just easier for me to troll. And sometimes we'll find them out deeper. Sometimes we'll find them in shallow. And then if we do happen to find them shallow, then we'll both start casting. Or if they're biting on the troll, then we'll both start trolling.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
Don't cut them off.
Giving me crap for yelling. I was just going to say, as like a general technique, when you're on a new lake and you don't know the lake and you're trying to catch trout, would you guys normally start trolling, or would you cast first?
Let's say you're alone and
Yes.
you don't have the dynamic duo running your normal setup.
Yeah.
It depends on the time of year. Like if it is spring, generally I would start trolling and bring a graph, look for structure, and then base it off of that. Now, if it's early, a lot of times I'll just fish from shore. Same with Lyle. We'll go into the park and we'll shore fish. We won't even take a canoe. We'll find a lake and we can day trip in, minimal gear, throw one pack on and catch them right from the shore.
Cool. Oh, that sounds awesome.
And like throughout the day, the whole day, they'll be up shallow like that?
Yep.
Yeah, they'll
Pretty
come
much. Yeah, trout are a schooling fish. So generally, if you're going to get one, you're going to get two or three. They're going to come in schools. So if you have in the summertime, your one line, then you can catch them that way from the shore.
So what if, let's say somebody's going in the middle of summer? You know, that's typically when a lot of people are heading out there. You know, the weather's a bit more stable. It's not the springtime. Some people, you know, they don't like the spring tripping. Too cold for them. Where would you be looking in the summer? Like, that's the hard time. That's my understanding. That's
in the summer, you definitely need a fish finder. Like, hands down, need a fish finder. And then you're looking for that deep structure, like 20 to 30, 40 feet of water. Get out deeper. If you're trolling too shallow and you're getting perch, then you know you're too shallow. Go deep. Like, you get them suspended out 40, 50 feet of water, and they're only about 15 or 18 feet down, but they're suspended because they're relating that thermocline. Then they'll come in when they're, you know, feeding in prime time, sun up, sundown type thing. But I did really well in late August, and I was out 40 feet of water trolling Berkeley flicker minnows.
Oh, wow.
So they don't go quite that deep. So the fish will like school like higher up in the water column in that deep water. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. So your thermocline is, say, typically
18 feet.
like middle of summer is 18 feet down roughly. So they're going to relate to that. They might hold up in, you know, 20 feet of water, but minnows don't go that deep. So they'll move into that warm water to feed. So if you're using a deep diver or spoon with lead core and you're trolling it about 15 feet down, they're going to come up a couple of feet into that warm water to eat. And you always want to be above them, because we ran into that earlier on. We were always trolling, I think, too deep for them and dragging our spoons like below where the fish were.
Interesting.
Yeah, trout are
What
a
about
rising
lake trout?
feeder.
Would you employ like a similar tactic for lake trout that time of year?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Lake trout, I would be heavy on the lead core then, and I'd probably get down to at least 40 feet if you can with your line, and then troll in like 60.
Because
lake trout need colder water.
Yeah.
Well, we did that trip in Kawartha Highlands for lake trout, and it was late August, and we were catching them in like 30 feet.
Evening. It was evening.
It was evening.
I think like a big part with like the depths of where people are finding fish, it's kind of relative to the lake as well, right? Like if you have a lake that's only 40 feet deep at its deepest,
I think it was 50
right?
feet.
Like, or 50 feet. Yeah. Like I could see them coming up 20 feet easily, like in the evening. Yeah. Cause we were catching them around like 30 feet, but it was always the evening when we were getting them.
Those were stocked too. I don't know if that makes any difference. You guys find a difference between stocked and native trout, like how they eat and how you fish for them?
Oh yeah.
Stock trout are more like hungry. They feed on definitely more aggressively and more predictably. Native trout are kind of, you have to really figure them out.
Cool.
And that's because they kind of like, they know their lake, right? Like they depend on certain feeding cycles, and they know where to be and what to look for, and that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, I think it's just more in their genetics, right? Like a stock trout comes from a hatchery, so they're used to the first year of their life being pellet fed. So they're just going to eat whatever they can see. They're eating to gorge and to get big. They're a put and take fish, right? They're there to get fat and to catch and to keep.
Cool. So top 5 lures. If somebody was to go out and they wanted to just start brook trout fishing, 5 lures that you tell them to pick up.
Williams
you
wobbler.
You have to give away your secrets. It looks like Lyle doesn't want to give this away.
Williams wobbler W30 in a gold, either a hammered or a mirrored finish. Lyle and I did a video in the start of May this past year, and within 2 days we caught about 70 brook trout, natural brook trout in the park. On the same, so we did a test. I was doing mirrored. One of us was doing mirrored, one of us was doing a hammered finish, and we were throwing them out there and we couldn't keep them off the lines. So it's a good small bait. It's small enough to catch smaller fish, but also bigger fish.
Cool.
Yeah.
Lyle, next one, Lyle.
Yeah, so the W30, yeah, that's a good one. I think related to our video, the minnows in the spring are small, so they're related to a small spoon. Later in the year, I would size up. I was doing in the summer, for me at least, was 4-inch flicker minnow, flicker shads, both of them, and that's a pretty big lure. So for me, that's kind of in my top 5.
Cool.
We also actually, when we went with you guys in later into May, when the trout were starting to go deeper, we were using the Williams bully spoons. Were doing really well for us because we had just spinning rods, and so we didn't have the option to get deeper with lead core. And these bully spoons are 9/10 of an ounce. So when you whip them out, they go about 15 feet down. They get into that deeper range just with a cast, no sinkers, right? So those did well. They're a big spoon, but if the fish are feeding, they're gonna tackle it. Trout are very aggressive for the size of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Next one, Lyle.
That's 3.
I would say next one, into the fall, I would throw a nice 4-inch jerkbait.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, any style
And
of
twitching
jerkbait.
it?
What's that?
Are you twitching or trolling?
Nope, jerking it just as fast as you can reel it in.
Wow.
Yeah, my dad and I did a video. We caught roughly 40 brook trout in an hour on jerkbaits.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I would never think of throwing a jerkbait for a brook trout.
Yeah.
Or fishing it like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It was a very reactive bite. It was as fast as you could bring it in, and you would see them like schooling trout, chasing the bait and attacking it right beside the canoe.
Wow.
And do you think that was just because they were like really aggressively feeding, or do you think like there's a reason why they were going after that?
No, I think it was pre-spawn, and I think how fast we were reeling the baits in was a reactive bite. They were there feeding, and then you throw a little 3-4 inch jerkbait by them going 100 miles an hour, they're gonna smoke it.
Mm.
Yeah,
And would you guys? Oh wait, one more.
Well, I was gonna say the number one bait by far of anything, probably not middle of summer, but spring, fall, is a minnow or a worm. Like a fish will always bite a live bait, like some sort of organic bait, over a lure. They're gonna pick them probably 75% of the time. Like I said, it depends on the time of year and the way you're fishing it. But from shore fishing in the spring, we're always using either dead minnows, like preserved minnows, or worms under a bobber, and you'll hammer fish. The only thing with that is they like to swallow it. Like it's not like a lure where when you're trolling or reeling it in, they're just gonna get it in the yap. Like when it's a sitting bait, they're gonna have it down their throat a lot of the time. So
you're
it's kind of
probably-
yeah, you're going in to catch a count, yeah, when you do that.
Cool.
So you bring the butter.
You bring 2 pounds of butter. You fish 2 minnows.
That's
One of those
awesome.
big like 3-gallon tubs of margarine.
So you guys have done some like pretty big trips. You guys fish Algonquin quite a bit. What do you guys have like anything in mind, like a really crazy trip that like really stands out, something wild that happened, like whatever, could be anything that comes to mind?
I would say our trip from this spring.
Yeah, that was good.
Eh?
It was nuts.
Yeah. The trout.
Like the one with us or before us?
The weekend before you guys. Yeah,
Okay.
it was. You could see hundreds of trout rising it was some sort of larva. You could see it on the top of the water. The whole lake was boiling.
Yeah, it was it was I guess the second weekend of May, and it was a mayfly and a stonefly hatch was going on, and Lyle and I, when we got to the lake, we trolled around it, did our thing we do every time, where we went around the shoreline, checked it out, looking for points and structure and such. And I think we caught 4 or 5 the first pass. And then we went back to camp. We had a quick lunch, some wraps, and then we went back out, and it was real calm, like glass calm. And all of a sudden we were trolling, and one swirled, and I was like, "Oh, cast at it!" So I casted quick, and bang, got it. And then we looked, and like Lyle said, just everywhere, a boil. So we went to the middle of the lake, out, and we didn't have a fish finder, but we were probably in like 30 feet of water, and we were in the middle of the lake, sitting in the canoe, no wind, just casting, and you'd see them boil. You cast at it, and bang, catch them, bang, and then we were casting out bobbers with worms underneath them out in the middle of the lake too, and just sitting there catching them on bobbers. That was unreal. Definitely our craziest catch. And then
Did you happen to make a video from that trip?
yeah, we did a 2-part. You
Okay,
could see
sweet.
that from back this spring. I think the first one was called like a backcountry lake loaded with brook trout or something, and then that was part 1, and then there was a part 2.
So I saw that one. That was the one where you guys did the Williams test, right?
Yeah,
Of those 2
that
days?
was the test. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Cool.
watched those. Those were good. You're right. Like the fishing was insane, and you guys
Yeah.
honestly. So what I love about you guys is like Ben and I, like you guys have this kind of chemistry together, and so when you guys are fishing in the boat, just like losing it, it's so entertaining to watch because like you just when you watch, you know you guys are like loving it, and it makes your videos really fun. Like the two of you guys together are hilarious. But I totally get it. Like when fishing is that good, it almost seems unreal.
Yeah, I'm a little more of a chill build than Lyle. I don't get quite as excited as him. Every fish he hooks is a dandy or a monster or a giant until he gets to the canoe and it's this long, right? But it's good for the videos because he keeps everybody entertained, and they don't know what's on the end of the line until he gets it in. I always know what it is. Generally in our videos, when you hear me say this is a big one, it's a big one. Lyle, it's this big,
So would you guys agree one of the two of you is a better angler?
Oh, me for sure. No competition.
The thing is, I taught Lyle everything he knows.
Yeah. Mentor.
Yeah, I'm his mentor. Like he had never even stepped foot in the park until he met me, and I kind of grew him into the fisherman that he is now. He actually he caught his first walleye through the ice with me. Like I've done so many firsts with Lyle.
No.
I've seen him grow from a boy to a man.
So Lyle, you used to do a lot of fishing in the Frontenac area, right?
Yeah.
You're
I worked
Sydenham,
for a
right?
year. Yep.
Cool. So yeah, I bet going up to Algonquin Park was quite the change from.
Yeah. So right
Frontenac.
from high school, I found out that Frontenac was stocked, and I basically lived on the lakes there. And my biggest trouts in there were probably in like that 2-pound range, but all stocked, of course. So then the whole time I'm just loving brook trout. Algonquin is like the place to be, right? Bought the map, did all the work, never went. Don't know why, just never went. Then I met Brendan in college, and oh yeah, we get them, 3 pounds all the time. It's no problem. This is this is every day, every spring. Come with us. And then the first trip we did, we caught like, I don't know, 30, 40 trout in a weekend and just hammered them.
He was hooked.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, you guys did the same thing for us, really. Like, Ben and I talked about doing a trout trip like that for a while, and it's something that I've been wanted to do for a long time, and you guys delivered for sure. And
Oh, yeah.
I guess it's all thanks to you, Brendan.
Well, yeah, grandfathered in, eh?
Oh, that's
But,
super
So
fun.
any big goals for this year? Like any like what kind of fish are you looking for now? Like you guys have got like some of the most
Bigger
beautiful
than that.
boats.
Bigger than that.
this.
Bigger than that. So what's your number? What's the what are you
So-
trying to shoot for?
This one's 22 inches.
But it's stocked, so it doesn't really count.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stocked is not
20
a stocked is not in the same caliber as natural.
Gotcha.
He says that because he hasn't caught one.
So kind of the epitome for like the level where you're catching a trout that I would consider a trophy trout, not a once in a lifetime fish, but a trophy brook trout is going to be 20 inches. We have hit that once so far in 4 seasons of hitting the park hard. I caught a 20.5-inch a couple years ago, but they're very few and far between. Like in Algonquin, there's about 250 brook trout lakes that are known. Like there is other lakes that do have brook trout that it doesn't say online, and you got to find those ones. That's kind of what we've been doing with exploratory trips and trying. let's go to this lake in the middle of nowhere and bushwhack in. It doesn't say there's anything there, but this stream looks like it has trout, so let's try it. But
you guys have a
20
map. You guys told us that you guys have a map that you've been marking off the lakes.
Yeah.
That you've been hitting as well, right?
Yeah.
I crossed off my 140th lake in the park on the closing weekend this past year.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Lyle's at what, about 80, 85?
85, I think. Yeah.
Even that.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of exploring. I think this past year we probably did 25 lakes ish.
Yeah, I would say it was a lot.
Yeah, we did a lot of trips this year. This coming year we have a lot of stuff planned. We have big fish in mind though this year. That's our goal. Like, we've shown everybody that we're pretty average guys. We catch average fish. We might catch numbers, but we catch average fish. So this year, the plan for our big trip in the spring, we have, what is it, 8 days, Lyle?
8 days, yeah.
We're hitting big trout waters. We've never been to them, but we know they hold big fish. So if you're interested in seeing some big brook trout, watch our videos on the average shows. But yeah, we don't say where we go. That's one thing we've made very clear since the start, is we're not going to blow up spots for views. We try really hard to actually hide where we go. We don't show portages. We don't show big lakes. Even if we're on a lake, we try to hide even the lake itself. Like, we will swing the canoe so that all you can see is us fishing and this room of water behind me and then trees. Like, so it's pretty hard to tell. But I think a lot of the fun of the adventure is going out there and trying to find these yourself. Like, Lyle and I have had so much fun. We've spent so much time discussing, like, where are we going to go? Where are we going to find these big fish? Okay, let's go in here. Then we go and we get nothing. But then all of a sudden the next trip we catch 70. So it's like that is probably the biggest excitement in the whole thing, is planning these trips and figuring it out, breaking it down.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's all about enjoying the journey, right?
It is.
And those times when the fishing is on fire.
And the huge fish. That's right. Yeah, that's right. That too. Okay, boys, it is 9:32. We ran late, but we're super, super grateful that you guys came on and did this. Thanks for rescheduling and everything. I'm sure you guys probably taught a lot of people who might not know so much about brook trout fishing. So we're super happy and grateful that you did that.
We will be in touch so we can figure out some trips with you guys this year.
Yes.
We definitely want to get out with you again, for sure.
And Brendan, Ben thinks you're cute.
Dude, I thought you weren't going to tell him.
Well, I just wanted everyone to know.
It's almost like we're 2 or 3 days into our trip here.
Yeah.
You remember what we said? I'm not going to say it on air, but
time to end it. Yeah, we've gone too far. Boys, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks
We'll
again.
talk to you soon. Take
looking
care.
forward to swimming in our underwear again.
Yeah. See you later, guys.
See you guys.
Okay, to our next guest.
Yeah, but I want to.
Yeah. Let's take a minute. Sorry. We're gonna keep you waiting, sir. You've been so patient.
Yeah, we got somebody sitting down here in the green room. Somebody who we've tripped with in the past. It looks like he's going through his fanny pack, though. Ooh. He's oh no, it's not a fanny pack. Oh no, I don't know. Anyways, yeah. Hope you guys have been enjoying the show. I can't see the comments, so I don't know what's going on. Hopefully, he's not ignoring you.
No one said anything
over there.
Rude.
There
you go, honey.
And if you're wondering, Quiet Wilderness Fishing is us talking in there.
I said that earlier.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
Okay, I missed that.
There you go.
I'm not a huge fan of this one. Can I get a different one?
Sure. What would you like?
I don't know, just a different one.
This one.
Oh yeah, that's a winner. That's a winner.
Okay. Thank you to everyone who is joining. We're not even looking at the numbers. Could be 0, but if you're here and you're watching, hanging out, thank you. We really appreciate you guys coming to join us here. Don't mind what we're doing right now. Yeah.
Just ignore this. Yeah.
The bottle's empty.
And stick around because we've still got some presents to open.
That's right. We are going to open the presents, and we don't know what we got each other, so
No.
that's totally a surprise.
I hope you're not too mad at me.
Well, we'll see. So our next guest, we did a trip with him 2 falls ago.
Yeah.
And
you showed him how to not catch fish, but bring all your fishing gear.
So yeah, we talked to Big Game. Hey man, come on out. We'll get you on some fish. It's going to be fun. And then of course, as some trips go, We got nothing.
Sometimes you get skunked.
So he doesn't believe us. He thinks all the fish in our videos are CGI. But you know, that's fine. We'll take him out again sometime. Put him on some fish. Maybe we just need to take him with Average Joe's.
That's what it is.
Okay.
And then
we'll dress them up as us.
We'll take the credit for
Okay, all right.
yeah.
Okay.
Anyways,
so
here
our
we
next
go.
guest.
Mr. Marty
Morissette.
Morissette.
What's
sir.
up?
Oh, he put his fanny pack away.
No, it's not a fanny pack. I'm actually I'm just getting ready to leave on Thursday, so I'm going through some of the food, the dry
Is that an
food that I
MRE?
Yeah, those are the old well, not old. Those are like the what do you call that? Like the ration pack for the army.
Okay.
Whatever.
Yeah, MREs. I
Wasn't
think
that
that's
MREs.
what
Yeah, sorry, I didn't hear you.
That's okay.
Anyway,
That's
so
okay.
in those, there's there's coffee stuff and like fruit.
You call that
crystals.
coffee?
Yeah, it's not
Sorry.
really coffee, but
Oh, speaking of coffee, should we
But
tell
anyway.
a story about the AeroPress?
well, we can't tell a fishing story when we weren't together, so
That's right. There were no fish. But that was funny. That was funny.
yeah, Adam totally stole my AeroPress.
No, I didn't. It wasn't me, man. I
You
swear
took
I
it,
didn't
you put
have
it in your boat because you thought it was
Okay, start from the
mine.
beginning. Start from the start.
Okay. So how did this go? So we went out fishing. We were on a trip. I think 2 days, 3 nights. I can't
Just a
remember.
weekend, yeah.
Weekend trip.
And we went out for the day. And Marty needed somewhere to put some stuff. So I tossed his AeroPress into my backpack and totally forgot about it. And so the next morning, we're like packing up, and Marty's like the rest of us itching for a coffee, and he can't find his AeroPress anywhere. And he's like, dude, I swear I gave it to you. And I'm like, no, man. He's like, can you just check your stuff? Okay, sure, no problem. So I like dig through my bags, and I'm like, I don't have it, man. So at this point, Marty's like, dude, I know you have my AeroPress. I'm like, dude, I don't have your AeroPress. And I don't know. I felt like he was getting upset with me. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't
It
have
sounded like you guys were getting a little upset. With stuff. I'm like packing up.
Well,
I'm like,
he
this
hadn't
is
had
getting
his
a little
coffee,
heated.
and he was
Because he
accusing-
stole my AeroPress. That's why.
I didn't realize. So, anyways, I think Ben ended up finding it. It was in the canoe. I guess I'd taken it out of my backpack.
I
So
I
ended up
just
finding it.
yeah, and try to hide it for a little longer.
Actually,
I just
I don't
remember
have-
seeing it right next to you. Like I remember being sitting. We were in my hot tent,
Yes.
and then it was at your feet.
Yeah.
I just remember like that was the last time I saw it. So, anyways,
You
it's
were
fine.
right. You were right.
So you said you're packing up. You're getting ready to leave this Thursday. Where are you headed?
Yeah, I'm heading out to Banff actually. So I'm doing my kind of like my big winter expedition. So we're ski touring across Banff, the high alpines there for 4 nights, winter camping. So this is it's kind of the big winter trip this season every year, and it's just there's a lot of logistics around it. So I've been trying to dig through all that for the last 2 days.
You've decided to go do a ski trip again after the last one. I think I remember you telling me that you regretted every moment of it after like the second hour.
You know, you know what's funny is that I have been. That's exact like what you just said. There is exactly what I've been obsessing about for the last like week and a half. Like it's this like balance of like this is going to be amazing to travel across the Canadian Rockies. Like it's so remote back there. You hop over a couple of like ridges. It's so remote. You're alone. It's like anything else you've ever tried, but yet you know that like within like 20 minutes of you start hauling your stuff, you're like, this is gonna suck for 4 days. Like it's just so physically demanding. So it's like, it's this perfect balance of like type 1 and type 2 or type 2 fun, I guess you call it.
Hang on a
So-
second. I just realized we didn't intro Marty. Let's do that real quick. Marty, you've got your own YouTube channel. You've got an Instagram page. You got a relatively large following. You've done well for yourself. You make like awesome content, really high quality
Oh, thank you, man.
video. Like what would you call it? Cinematic. Like you tell a good story, and it's obvious that you're passionate about it.
And you visit some really interesting places. too.
Yes. The rest
Yeah.
of us are still like going around in provincial parks, and you're like skiing across Banff.
Well, thank you for that. That's very nice. Just typical content creation. I do it across all the platforms, short forms, long forms. I have certainly reduced the pace to which I'm doing it at. Especially, this is like my first video ever was in January 2020 was the first video ever. And then for the first like 2-3 years, I spent a lot of time just trying to figure out what the content was going to be, if that makes sense. You know, what I fell in love with as a viewer was always the trips, right? Like the, you know, what started it off like from like Survivor Man, and then, you know, like back in the days, like the survival stuff, just enjoyed watching what he was doing. Then when I landed on YouTube, I, you know, like everyone else, saw Joe Robinett do his thing. That's what I love doing. But when I joined YouTube at the time, it was so like, there's two aspects to YouTube, right? Or content creation. It's like there's like the love for doing it, and then trying to make something a bit more sustainable than just making content for making content. Like you're posting pictures of your family. If you're trying to build something that'll bring you to Banff eventually and fly you out to Utah and then do bigger stuff, you have to approach it a bit more like a business. And for the first 2-3 years, especially in that era of YouTube, it felt like if you didn't post every week, it wasn't going to happen for you. So how can you post every week if you have, you know, 2 kids, a wife, a full-time job, and you're trying to do it all? So I did a lot of talking heads at the time, right? So I would do a lot of gear reviews, little how-tos, things like that. And, you know, that got me to a certain place. But 3 years into the process, I was like, man, the thing I really, really, really love to do is just to capture the moment of the trips. It's like I fell in love. I had never filmed before. I fell in love with filming. I fell in love with, you know, I tell the story all the time. I was a musician before, and that storytelling through writing songs just kind of transitioned into videography and kind of marrying both my biggest passion, creation, and the outdoors. And that's kind of what I do now. And realistically, I just was okay with slowing down the pace of everything and be like, I'm just going to film the stuff that I never want to film a video again that I'm not excited to film it in some sense. Yeah, sometimes it's work. Sometimes you don't want to get up super early to capture the sunrise or whatever it is. Like that's okay. But like, I remember the last gear review video I did, and I was like, I can't, like, I don't like doing it. That's not what I was a fan of the trips when I wanted to become a YouTuber, if that makes sense. So I just decided I was going to land on that. And I did that 2.5 years ago. So I went from like publishing 52 videos a week for 3 years straight to like, you know, 20, 12. And if this year I post 8, so be it. But now they're what I call them, they're bigger projects, if that makes sense. So it's like,
honestly, it really comes through. Like, so you put out a couple of videos earlier this year. And I think it was one of the first ones. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but you did a big trip with your daughters and some family friends of yours.
Yeah.
And I love those videos of you taking your kids out doing whitewater, because you've got a camera right up front and your daughter's face is just like, I find that like so entertaining, because they're just having the time of their lives, and you can like see that joy happening on their face, like moment by moment, like, and so you capture that really well. And I think you know, the changes that you've made to just capture the thing you love the most, it really comes through in the videos.
Awesome.
So
thank you, man.
tell us about that trip a little bit, if you don't mind. Where were you, and what was
so that one was in the so this summer I did many trips, one of which I haven't published yet. So that one, and we should talk about it, because that one was a big one for what we do here. Because I was actually just listening to the whole live stream, and I'm like, I barely fish. Why am I being invited anyways? But that one video I'd made, we got to talk about it after. But anyways, this summer I went down the Dzwan River with the kids. So we ran almost the whole river. There's like this section, I think it's Lac Benoit we started at. So it's about like 70 kilometers of river we did just here in the Pontiac area. And it's a pretty cool river, because it's a river that goes from, essentially you paddle from Quebec into Ontario, and then you land into the Ottawa River, and then you cross over to the Ontario side. I did that, a very small portion of that trip earlier this year with Max Budnick as well. Like April 1st, we were out there, and after hitting it, which was the third, and in that area, I'm kind of jumping all over the place here, but in that area, there's what we call the Three Sisters. And those Three Sisters are the Noir River, the Coulanges River, and the Dzwan River. The Dzwan River is the only tributary river of the Ottawa River that is undammed. That's the last remaining undammed river to the as a tributary to the of the Ottawa watershed, essentially.
Mhm.
Ottawa River watershed. So it has constant river flow. So we brought the kids there. It's of those 3 rivers, it's the more advanced river, I would say, especially for whitewater. I have no idea if there's any fish in there. I have no time to fish when I've got 2 kids
there's
in my
fish.
boat. Yeah, when I've got 2 kids in my boat, massive class 3s, and we're trying to push like 20 plus click a day, and plus filming. Fishing is the last thing on my mind. So we're just trying, you know what I mean? We're just trying
I
to
get
move
it.
along.
And that in that video, you guys were behind for a lot of that trip. Like, it was constantly just trying to keep up. So
we were just trying. Well, yeah, most people do that section in 5 days without kids and filming, and I did it. We did it in 4 days with kids, and
Right.
I had 2 kids. My buddy Ulian had 2 kids as well. And then we had another party that was there who have way less experience in whitewater. So the part that you guys don't see in that video, because I didn't capture it well, is I ended up riding I'll say it like that. I ended up riding all the class 2s that were technical and the 3s twice. So I would run it once and I would run back up, grab the boat, and do it again. So anyway, so yeah, we were constantly just trying to catch up with like the itinerary, essentially. So, but it was great, like the kids. If you follow me on YouTube over the last few years, one of the things that's interesting is that, like I felt this year, like for the first time, I was like, not for the first time, but like the kids now were like Charlotte and Rosie at the front were like really dialed into paddling through whitewater. I would ask like cross draw or give me a draw here or whatever, and they would actually, we were able to maneuver the boat quite a bit. And I also am much better at it. I'm much more experienced in it now than I ever was. And so and that was just, that was kind of a pretty epic trip for us in the sense of like the water this year, there was so much rain, the water was really high, the class 3s were massive, and we hit some pretty big stuff. And I was like, like now we're paddling, like we're paddling hard now. So it was fun.
You captured it really, man. It felt intense watching because some of those rapids were big. You guys like filled the boat with water a few times.
That happens sometimes.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And at the same time too, that kind of led me into, that trip was supposed to be kind of like the warm-up trip to the big trip I had with the kids. If you have, for anyone listening, if you have kids, like, that by the time they had, like, it depends on every kid, but like they're 11, they're 12, they're 13, I don't know that you go much further than 13, but like things change quite a bit. Like, like the difference between kids and teenagers, like textbooks wise, it says, kids like look up to their parents for validation. Teenagers look up to their friends for validation, right? And I knew I was in that kind of like transition year, very much so. And so I was thinking, I'm like, okay, we got to do something big because I know that there's going to be a lull where they don't want to come anymore with me. Or if they're going to come, it's going to come at the cost of like, I need to come with my friends. Otherwise, I'm not coming. But going with your friends is like starting all over what we've built for the last 6 years together. Like the kids and I have been tripping together since they're in their diapers. Like Rosie's first trip with me was 24/7 in diapers still. So it's like, it's like all these, like a decade long of like experience. They're only 11 and 12, but now if I start over with their friends, I've got to start that whole thing, which is fine. I'm happy to do, and we're probably going to transition differently, but I was kind of hoping this was going to be like the last summer. So, but after the Des Moines River, I felt it. I kind of knew, right? And we were just about to we were going to cross Algonquin Park in 14 days. So we were going to go from west to east. And I wanted like one last like hoorah. We're going to follow the entire Petawawa River all the way across. And just like, I wanted to do a big thing with them. And coming out of the Des Moines, I was like, listen, girls, like, are you in or are you out? Because if we start that trip, there was no quitting. Like, it's just like, just the logistics alone, right? And so, and it was kind of pretty obvious that they didn't want to do a full 14 days out there. So we settled on a 7-day trip, which leads me into the next trip. And there's a lot of things that happen along the way too that I think it's interesting to share with the audience too. It's like with the kids being this age too, and for the first time too on the Des Moines River, for me it was the first time where I was like, you know what, filming feels like very much like the like filming shouldn't be happening right now, if that makes sense. I don't know how to say it, but I've always said like I'll film my trips with the kids until I can feel like it's taken away from my time with them.
Right.
And I felt that in that trip, but the problem was that I had prior engagements with sponsorships, with like canoes, like, with Skiff and different paddle companies. So, and I kind of had to fulfill that. So I told him, I said, listen, we're going to do the next trip. It's going to be a 7-day trip, not 14. We're going to go to La Vérendrye Wildlife Reserve Park, which is just north of where we live. We're going to do, and on that 7-day trip, we're going to take 3 days off. Like we're going to move, but there's going to be a lot of double days, and we're just going to fish and swim. And it will be the last film that I make with you girls, essentially. Like that was kind of like, because I had to fulfill what that was kind of a learning experience for me. Like that's kind of the backside or the behind the scene of all of that. So anyway, so I was like, we settled on that. Everybody was fine. But on that trip, massive lake, those are all reservoirs, by the way. And so they're all, because this would be actually the Des Moines River and the Coulonge and the Noir, all the headwaters all start in that massive wildlife reserve up there. And so they're all like from the different dams and all that, like those are all massive reservoirs. And the lake I was on, I knew wasn't super deep. So I had actually, so the whole thing was we were going on a fishing trip now. I had researched like the topography of the lake, which I'd never done before, right? Like I grew up, like the way I learned how to fish is my dad telling me, it's like, I'm like, oh, why don't we fish over there? Dad is like, fishes are everywhere in the lake. Just, they're here, they're there. That's how I learned how to fish, right? So, but this time around, I went with you guys. I kind of got, even though we didn't catch anything, we got a lot of fishing talking done. And so I knew that it was a walleye lake. And I knew we still had some decent traveling to do, like in terms of like just moving from one side to another. So what I did is two things. I got a Scotty rod holder, which is phenomenal. You guys had told me to get that. I got my hands on that. And then I knew I was targeting walleye, and I knew the lake was about 20 feet deep because it's just, it's just a mass flood essentially, right? 20 feet deep. And in my experience in the past with like my father-in-law, where I've gone fishing with in the past a little bit here and there, who's a decent fisherman, I always remembered like 12 feet of water for walleye. We want 12 feet of water, whatever it was, right? So I went to Kay and Tire, and I got a diving lure with like I don't know what you call that, those with the tongue at the top, and it would dive 12 to 14 feet. So I got that. I got my rod holder, and we had the time of our lives. You have to understand, like on a trip, like in the past, I may have caught 4 fish total on all of my trips ever. And we caught like upwards of 17, 18 fish on that trip.
Nice.
And they were all, and it was interesting because it was like, I put a plan together to target something in a certain way, and it just worked, and it kept working day in, day out. And the Scott rod holder, and that's one thing I told a lot of people, like if casting fishing is not super interesting to you, or when you're trying to do a lot of distance, the way I tend to do my trips, or at least moving, right? No base camping, just moving from one end to another. One of the things I really enjoyed about it is that it was such a different way to fish. It was, the hunt, if you will, was so different because I knew I was going to cross this massive lake, and then you look at it and you look at the weed lines, or like the 2 islands over there. And as you got to travel south, for example. Well, then you kind of picks like, hey, you know what? I'll kind of detour a little bit and follow that weed line because I'm trolling, right? And then I'll keep moving. It's like, oh, I'll go in between the 2 islands. Boom, you catch a fish in between the 2 islands, right? And then I just love that active, kind of thoughtful fishing process, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool. It's amazing when you can like come up with a plan
Yeah.
You put it together, and then it actually works. Like,
Makes you feel like you know what you're doing.
yeah,
Even though that's probably not the case. It's just luck.
it's
Yeah.
super rewarding. Yeah.
Yeah, and then to put like, you know, so anyway, so we're fishing out there and we're catching, and I think on day, can't remember, 5 or something like that, we just come off of a creek, like we're hopping from one lake to another, so there's just a little ledge rapid into the nothing crazy, so we kind of ride it in, we get into the, and it opens up to like a small bay to the big lake, if you will. And so I put the rod in and I start canoeing, and boom, I pulled like some really nice size walleye, and we were in the last lake close to camp sort of deal, and back to back, I can't remember the size of them. I think I say it in the video, but they're nice eaters, like really, really nice eaters. Cause over there, would it be between like 32 and 44 centimeters? Is that possible to keep? I don't know.
For sure. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it depends. Like, there's so many different slot sizes
And
zones.
yeah, so I had like the ruler in the canoe anyways, but anyway, so like 2 nice eater fish, and then I did my first fillets ever, which I had kind of looked on YouTube a little bit how I wasted all the rib meat, which is unfortunate because I'd forgotten about the ribs. Like, you know, you watch the video and then you're out there and you're trying your best, and
yeah,
you're like, why isn't it working? So I wasted a little bit of food, of meat, but I made some perfect little chunks with no bones in it at all. Nice. I fried it and made a nice fish fry in the pan with the kids. And you know, it's so funny because I'm pretty proud of myself. I mean, like, you have to understand, like, I caught some of my first 2 fish. I'm cutting it up. I'm making some fish fries.
Listen, Marty,
Yeah.
I've seen you handle fish.
I know.
I don't know how to touch it. I don't want to touch it. So this is big news.
It is.
That's awesome.
So I'm frying the fish. I put it there with some tartar sauce right next to it, right? Like, just like, and I put it there. It's like, kids, you got fish. And then I literally like leave it on the log. I turn around to like just go get something. I come back within like 3 minutes. The fish is gone. Like, the kids just devoured the whole thing. And I'm looking at it and I didn't even taste it. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, you know what? I felt pretty good to like just to provide like that. You know what I mean? I was like,
Yeah.
I don't even care. It was just so awesome to see the kids just dive into it, right? Like, and then the 2 other kids too were there, and everybody loved the fish. So
look, I just want to say I love this because you're, like you said earlier, you don't normally fish. That's not a big part of what you do. I know you've been trying to do a lot more of it. But like what you're describing right now is the thing, like that's something that I try to like convey to people, especially paddlers who don't really fish much, but they trip. And it's like that experience that you had there, especially with your kids, but even if it's just friends, like that sitting around the fire or whatever, having that fish and just thinking like, wow, I really did it. I made a plan. It worked. Now we're eating this. It just, like, you know, if that wasn't part of that trip, sure, it would have been a great trip otherwise, but it just adds so much to it.
So much.
And so I love that story. So do you think you're going to do more fishing from now on?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That so you know, like,
Sorry,
especially with stop yelling. Especially with the especially with the rod holder. The rod holder changes the game, in my opinion. Like, a big reason why I didn't use to fish is if the fishing rod is always in the way. It gets caught, the hooks get stuck in my things or whatever it might be, and I'm like, listen, like, this is the last thing I want to worry about. The rod holder really just kind of put it away. It was even if you're not fishing, it's just like, it's there. Of course, not down a rapid, I wouldn't do that, but like, it's just like, it's out of the way. It's easy to fish. You can cast a little bit, you can troll. I do.
Are you removing the rod holder when you hit rapids, or just taking the rod out?
No, I just took the rod in. Cool. It's an expensive piece of gear maybe to leave on the side there, but I don't know. It didn't.
There could be fish in the holes on the way down. You never know.
That's right. You could troll. I don't even stop trolling. I just leave it in.
With your deep diving crankbaits, it'll be fine.
So you know, so it was this summer was a great summer. That trip hasn't been published yet. I'm actually hoping to publish it in March, maybe right around Canoecopia time. It's a nice 7-day trip, but that is kind of the last trip you'll essentially see the kids in the film. Yeah, that was just kind of part of the progression, you know what I mean? And they're at an age where, especially if I'm going to start bringing their friends, I'm not going to film their friends either. So it was one of those things too, right, where it's like, it is what it is. So now there's going to be time where we go camping, which we have already, but camping where there's no filming, and then there's going to be other things, and that's kind of where the progression of the whole thing, where it's like I'm just working on bigger projects now, where it's like, yeah, I'm going to Banff, like that's a project I want to film, and I'm going out there to film with people that films, right? Like
Sweet.
when I go out with my friends, like down the Coulonge like a river, and it's a boys trip and all that, and I'm filming, I always feel like I'm intruding to. I've always felt like that. But when I go out with you guys and the goal is to trip and film, or when I go solo and the goal is to capture something, then then it just kind of works. And the stories are always better anyways. They really are. Like it does carry through, in my opinion. So I'm splitting it up a little different, and I like it like that because I needed a different pace too, because, well, you guys know, man, like, dude, I published like, and most of it is off the channel now, but like, in 5 years, like well over 200 videos. It's so much editing.
Yeah, you really have to like try and find that like comfortable pace. that's sustainable. We had to slow it down this year too. At first, we were just going to try and slow it down, just to try and do more quality over quantity. Because we had that feeling of, well, we got to post frequently. We got to get videos out there. So we were trying to do a video a week last year and the year before.
And a short a day.
Every
day and a video every week.
Yeah, I think we managed a short a day for a year.
Yeah.
I think.
But
we just realized that's not sustainable. Lost connections with a lot of our friends and realized we'd like to spend more time with our families. So it's difficult as creators.
It's all bizarre because it's like, listen, like, look, like, earlier I made a joke, like, because the gear room behind and all that, like the grind of the first 3.5-4 years I gave provided me with a lot of what I have today. Right. And like, I was like, I don't know that I've ever mentioned that many times, but it's like, for me, like I grew up doing a lot of the outdoors, but I always had I've never had quality gear, quality canoe, quality anything. It was just like, whatever you have and you go, and I encourage people to do that hard. That's one thing that in the position I am today that I always feel that I talk about it sometimes. It's like, man, that gear is expensive. Like I understand that most people can't buy it. But for me, when, because I have 2 kids, because, I have a lot of other things that I have to worry about financially, one of the big way for me to be able to do a lot of outdoors, and not only do a lot of outdoors in, the local provincial parks and Crownland and all that kind of stuff, but to be able to grow that love and to experience different level of expeditions and level of different things, like when I went to Utah, or when I'm going to Banff, or I going up north for some canoe trips. It was like, I need a way to fund this. If this is going to be a part of my life, it's got to get funded somehow, because the money that we make right now, and especially with the cost of living and everything else, just I couldn't afford it. And especially I couldn't afford the $3,500 whitewater canoe that I needed to do the trips that I needed either. Like, and the $500 tent and you, like I said, you don't need any of this, but for someone who's tried an enormous amount of gear in the last 5 years, it's kind of cool. Like the expensive gear kind of provides, if that makes sense. It does. Like, if you're gonna, some of the gear I've tried that's expensive, I'm like, yeah, that thing is expensive, but man, that is an amazing piece of gear. Anyways,
I think for most, sorry, go ahead, finish your point.
But I needed something to fund that. And so that's where the idea of creating content came in, because I was like, oh, people make money online. I bet you I could kind of figure it out. And then you kind of fall in love with the idea of telling stories, of videography. And then it's a lot of mix things together. But that grind that I provided at first, that like epic, like just push for making content, has provided me with what I have today. I can't, like, you know what I mean? Like, so So, but I've reached a point where, like in August, I burnt out. I came back from that trip and I was like, man, I am tired. So I put everything aside. I said, I'm going to take a break. I kind of reorganized a few things. And now, yeah, like if it's 4, 5, 6 videos, I don't even know. I don't care. Like they're just big projects, right? And that's kind of
Right
what
on.
the way I'm looking at them. Yeah.
So before we let you go here, what's one big trip you have planned this year that you're really looking forward to? Do you have anything yet? I mean, we're not that far ahead yet. Don't ask us that question.
Yeah, no, I plan fairly ahead. Like I'm booked pretty hard until almost next November. So but it's the big one that I've wanted to do is I'm reading the comments. I know you should ask my wife. It's a problem.
Big trip.
The big trip is I want to cross Algonquin Park. I've wanted to cross Algonquin Park forever. I've always wanted to do it.
Cool.
So when I told the kids that we're not going to cross Algonquin, the kids were bummed out for me. I said, listen, I'll go and do it alone. So instead of doing it in 14 days, though, I'm at Trout opening super early with my little solo boat that I brought with you guys that November. I'm going to cross west to east, follow the Petawawa River, and hopefully catch some trout. Like, kind of the idea is to make this a trout fishing trip as well. I have no idea how I'm going to catch fish, but I'm going to cross the park. So I'm doing it in 7 days. It's about 210 kilometers. It's a big trip. It's going to be a grind. And I'm doing it solo too, which will be my longest solo trip ever. So that
well, before you do that trip,
excited.
Reach out to us.
Yes.
Not that we're like really experienced anglers, but we can probably give you some tips on because river fishing is different than lake fishing for sure. But there's definitely brook trout in there. So there's a few spots that you can look out for on your way and just hit those spots. Don't even worry about the other stuff because you're not likely. But at those specific spots, you'll probably
especially in moving water too, right?
Yeah. Trout love that stuff.
Yeah. So I want to do. So I'm kind of like debating because because there is white water to be done in the Petawawa. If I can avoid portages, I will at all costs.
Mm-hmm.
But so I think the Trout opens like the last Saturday,
like the second or third week
of April. I think it's like the third week Saturday of April this year, whatever it is. But I may push it a little bit early May, just so it's a bit warmer. So if I do dump or something happens, because I don't want to carry a dry suit either. I don't know. I'm trying to balance all of that, but I don't want the bugs. That's for sure. I don't want the big, like the massive bugs. So actually, that was one question I had: is bug hatching is that meaningful for catching trout?
It can be, yeah. Something I remember Kevin saying is that when the black flies start to bite, that's when the brook trout start to bite. Yeah.
Bring your bug suit.
Good luck with
that. No,
that.
that's fine. I mean, it's just like, the other thing too is if I'm going to cross, if I'm going to cross Algonquin Park, I'm going to go ultra light. So like if I can sleep under a tarp most of the nights and just kind of because I want to make sure I have time to film, I have time to capture things, I have time to fish.
For sure.
So I don't want to triple carry my portages. I want to single carry all of them. So I'm dialing in all the gear and everything so that is doable. So no bugs just kind of opens up a whole new realm of ultralight traveling through the park. So anyways.
Cool. Looking forward to that, Marty. And I'm looking forward to watching that walleye fishing video. I think you should work on that so I can see it.
Yeah, we won't see that.
You'll be happy. Here's you were mentioning about me.
Marty, we gotta let you go.
Freaking out. No, but you gotta answer my question. You gotta answer that question.
Okay, go.
Because I have you here, and that's the only fishing learning I do. The reason why I don't like holding the fish, just to get back, because I'm like, I don't know what to do. It's not that so I got over the sliminess of it, so that's fine. That's not a problem. Now I have two fears. I believe one is irrational, and the other one can be solved with technique. My first fear, which I believe that one's the irrational fear, I am so do people get bit by fish when they pick them up in their hands? Is that a thing?
Pike
or muskie.
They won't try and bite you, but their teeth might hit you.
They open their mouth and they thrash.
Yeah.
They're not gonna like lunge at you and try to attack you. They don't do that.
No, but like, yeah, they will cut you. I've got some good scars
Okay.
on my hands here.
Because whenever I grab them, that's the first thing I'm like, are they going to try to catch me like they're fighting, right? Like they're trying. Okay,
No.
so that's one. And then the second, which I think it's a real fear, but I think it's a lack of experience, is I am terrified of hooking myself. Like
That's
You
a
should
real
be.
fear.
You
Yeah.
should
so like I'm holding onto the fish and I can see it start to wiggle out and try to get away. And I'm always like, that's why I let them go often enough, because I'm afraid of getting hooked, especially out there.
The problem with that though is then it just lands on your lap and then you get hooked in the leg. So
So
you
what's
have
the
to learn to
move?
control the fish and use
So-
pliers.
Yeah.
Pliers, get a
Yeah.
good grip on the fish.
We'll look.
Yeah.
We got our chat. We'll get together. We'll teach you all the techniques, everything you need to know. Your first fear is irrational. Fish are not going to bite you. But the second one for sure is something you have to be cautious of, especially when you're out in the middle of nowhere and don't have access to good medical stuff.
Yeah. The next thing you should probably research is how to remove a fishing hook with braided fishing line.
That's right. There's a trick to get it out.
There's a trick to getting it. It's not fun, but it'll get the hook.
Off of your skin, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, out of
Oh.
your
Yeah.
skin. Yeah.
good to know.
There's some videos on YouTube about that.
It's a good skill.
Okay, Marty, thank you so much for doing this. Honestly, it's so good to talk to you. We've been trying to catch up for so long and we haven't caught up. There's so much more to talk about. So we will get together and chat again soon. But thank you for doing the stream with us tonight. It's been awesome hanging out.
You got it,
And
man.
I'm looking forward to, and I'm sure the viewers are, if they know your stuff. And if they don't, they should check it out. But you've got a lot of stuff coming up. So I'm looking forward to it.
Marty Morset on YouTube and Instagram.
You got it.
That's right.
See you in a
Awesome.
bit.
Take care,
Cool.
Marty.
Take care, man. See ya.
Bye-bye.
I'm really sorry. I gotta use the washroom.
Go ahead. I have to
Okay.
too. You go ahead. So, you know what? I don't know how to work this StreamYard thing, but I'm going to bring Jake on here because he's been waiting so patiently. There he is. We got our goodest buddy Jake here, Canadian.
How's it
Shield
going?
man. Once again,
You guys are powering.
what's that?
You guys are powering, talking lots. You're doing great.
Well, you know, I'm surprised we're kind of on time. We're only 10 minutes behind here, and it was mostly because Marty wouldn't stop talking. He never stops talking, but that's why we love him. He has so much to say. He's a great storyteller. But when you have a schedule, you got to keep things going, right? So, but Jake, I don't know if I should. What do you think? Should we wait for Ben, or should we just move forward with it? We got
I
people
say we
watching.
just get
here.
into it. Okay,
Yeah, let's
we'll
go.
fall in.
Okay, so Jake,
We could start by Adam and I met each other first through Instagram.
that's right. We were chatting through. It's
Talked
actually kind of
about
funny
fishing
how
down south.
we worked out, if you want to call it that. But yeah, we were like chatting on Instagram first because I was making videos and I guess or posting on Instagram, whatever it was. You had seen some of that stuff.
I was trying to help you out catching the fish or something.
That's right. I was going to Algonquin and I needed someone to give me some advice. So you taught me about the flasher rig, which I had no idea how to use at that time. But it turns out to be like one of the lures that have proven to be the best for me for trout. But yeah, and then funny enough, we had chatted for like a year, and then I moved out to the Kawartha Lakes, and like it turns out I'm like 30 minutes from you. So that was totally a weird
right
coincidence.
down the road.
Yeah, exactly.
Right across the
So-
street from family.
Exactly, precisely. That was even weirder. Now that I think about it, it's kind of creepy. What should I be asking more questions? I don't know.
Who knows? But it was funny. But then we started fishing, and yeah, I took you on a trip into the middle of the woods in the winter. That was interesting.
That's right. So we've done a couple trips together. A lot of them when I was like doing my own channel, Adam's Real Adventures, and we've done a couple since we started Paddleheads. But you were a fishing guide for a few years at least, up on Lake of the Woods, doing muskie and walleye.
Yep.
And I think one of the
I've
things
also
that
done a lot of backcountry stuff.
besides your potty
all over the
mouth, one of the
place,
things
just
that
kinda-
stands out to me the most about you is your book. I think that is the coolest thing. And you basically,
Books.
that's right. You track every fish that you catch, and you have this enormous database of data, which nobody else has. So I think is super cool and very interesting. And so maybe we
Which
can
kind
talk
of
about
worked
that.
out with you and I starting to talk, because I started that before I started guiding. It was a thing to kind of get better at fishing and learn that area, because I started guiding up in Lake of the Woods, and I'm from the Kawartha Lakes region. It's 24 hours away by car. It's a completely different type of lake system than what's down here. You can drive for hour, 2 hours across the lake in one go and not need to stop with the 50 horsepower engine. And the fish move incredible distances. Like they'll be there really hot in the spring, and then all of a sudden all the fish are gone, and you gotta go for a boat way to go try and catch the fish. So I started logging every fish that I caught and just kind of trying to learn what I can from that type of data, because when I first got up there, I wasn't guiding. I was just kind of working and doing maintenance at a camp up there, and trying to keep a fishing resort going or whatever. And I was learning to guide on the side because I'd done other guiding work and non-fishing stuff before. And then, so I started this book in, do I have it here? It's in a Right in the Rain book that I'd had forever and I'd never used. And then I just started adding more and more fish data into it. And now it's at like a couple thousand fish that I put in there, all separated by day, temperature, wind direction, size, location, who I was fishing with in that day. Sometimes I got silly notes of stupid things that happened on that day, and I don't remember stuff so well. And so this is the best way for me to remember to go through all this data. It's hilarious. And like I looked at some of my data today before coming in here. I've caught 34 fish with Adam, but I've only caught 13 fish with Ben around. So Ben needs to catch up a little bit.
So
I did look at my walleye stats
to determine who's the worst luck, or do you actually like use this data to be like, oh, wind from the west fishing is the best on this lake or whatever?
It kind of goes into that, and then eventually you just start seeing patterns when you're playing on Excel, and you just kind of sort by different conditions. And like eventually I learned that my best time for fishing walleye is actually like the first week, second week of July. I was catching all of my big like 29, almost 30-inch walleye in that 2-week span almost every year. And they were on slightly different sides of the lake, but whenever I caught them, it just happened to be that for me. Now, other people have different luck or whatever, but it is what it is. Every day is different when you're fishing, and you never know what you're going to get into. And
okay, so
sometimes you get patterns out of it, and sometimes it's coincidence.
So you have all this information. You've learned everything you've learned over the years. Do you have like one big takeaway from all of it? Like if you could take away one thing from everything that you've gathered so far, is there something that you could like share that you've learned?
Everybody fishes in their own way. And even though I might have my stats for whatever, if somebody else is fishing, every day you go, like when you're guiding, you're out with new people every day, and they all have different fishing experiences themselves. They either fish in their uncle's or grandfather's pond in the back of their farm, or they've been fly fishing with their parents since they were a little kid, or you never know what people have done. And there's so many different species of fish out there, and there's so many different ways to fish for the same type of fish. And so like I prefer jigging for walleye, and other people prefer trolling for walleye, and trying to learn that type of stuff it gets pretty interesting when you just watch other people, but learning off of yourself and what you're good at kind of helps you know, like if you're fishing for a specific species and you know your way of fishing, you can fish other ways, and then all of a sudden you're not catching anything, and then you go back to your gold standard, and if you're not catching them that way, you know, okay, I'm just doing something wrong or whatever. They're just not biting. But every day is different. You just kind of got to learn from it, and I try not to take it too literal, because
like there's no
it is just
right way to do it. Is that what you mean? Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Everybody can fish their own way. It don't matter if you got a stick with a piece of string attached to it. You can catch fish, but it just, everybody's got their own style that works best for them. And then, but you can still learn off of other people, and being able to fish with other people really helps you expand what you're good at.
Something I've noticed.
So like everybody that you've talked to,
your style of fishing, you always seem to just find like this simple way to catch them. Like we're like trying to do these fancy rigs and doing all this, and you're like, I'm just using a jig and a Ned stick. Like I'm using the most simplest thing, and I'm just jigging right underneath the boat. Not even casting out, just jigging underneath the boat, and you're like picking them off.
Well, that was the thing I got really good with up north, is looking for walleye by jigging right on the spot, pretending you're a crayfish and just hopping along the rocks. And so once you can find the kind of structure they like to gravitate to, you can just kind of hop along and they'll chase you down. They want you. They're hungry, but you just kind of got to pinpoint them. I'm trying to teach Adam how to do this type of jigging, but it's taking some practice. We'll get there. We'll get there.
I'm too busy messing around with my cameras. Isn't that right, Jake?
Or leaving your rods behind and we have to go back for an hour.
Oh my God. So listen, I'm so glad you brought that up, because obviously that video, we haven't put that out yet. And I didn't even really like capture that. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I would love to tell that story right now. And I don't even think Ben knows about this. Like, I haven't even told Ben about this. So Jake and we got together. We were going to a walleye lake that we like to fish. And there's like a bit of a trek to get from the car to the lake. And so, I don't know, we get about 3/4 of the way there. We're feeling good. We're on the lake early. And there's a lift over.
We got like 4 hours, 5 hours to fish. And
That's
so
right. That's right. We have a very
like
small
half an
amount of
hour
time.
out there.
So there's a lift over, and we start taking stuff out of the boat. And Jake's like, "Where are the rods?" I'm like, "I thought you had the rods." He's like, "No, man, I don't have the rods." So we realized
I had my rods. You didn't have your rods.
That's right. That's right. So I left all of my rods at the boat launch, and so we had to paddle all the way back to get. It added another almost hour onto the trip. It was so stupid. Oh man. And I didn't really capture
still got fish,
any of
though.
that.
It worked out.
Yes, you did. I think I caught a couple bass, but I don't know if I caught any walleye. But
You
practice.
idiot. Oh man, I'd be so pissed.
Oh, yeah, and you know what? Jake did pretty good, because if I was him, I would have been like razzing me the whole day, just like, you dummy.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He was pretty good about it.
But we were distracted trying to find fish. And they were out there.
That's right. I was distracted
every
by
day
my
you can
cameras.
learn something new. But
Go ahead, Jake.
So what other trips did we do this year? We did the 2 walleye trips, and then we did a trip for our halibut and gold lake trout that we've tried for 5 times now, I think. And we still haven't caught them.
We did do that. That's right, really early this year.
So for our viewers,
that was the first ice last year.
There are some videos that we've been working on for quite a while. Adam's been searching for a certain type of lake trout called halibut and gold. I've been trying to catch.
There's only supposed to be so many lakes a minute, and they're so hard.
Well, I wouldn't even know about that fish.
We've been
if
trying.
It wasn't for Jake. Like, Jake's the one who kind of helped me understand that there was this kind of really special fish that only exists in a very particular area here in Ontario. And we've been trying.
The Halibut Islands Association stocked all these fish into 13, 15 lakes or something like that. But who knows? I've heard about maybe one of them. We still don't know if it's true or not. So it's fun to try and find out if they're there. But we've spent a lot of time looking and haven't found anything yet.
Yes, we have for like the last 4 or 5 seasons or something like that. Yeah. We've gone out at least a couple times in the winter and tried to find these fish. And you know what? There was that one time I had one on. I had one on the tip up. You remember that? And you were giving me crap because I was taking.
I told you to run, and you didn't run.
I think that happened twice. Actually, I'm pretty sure that happened twice. I had one on the tip up, and then it just grabbed the minnow, and that was it. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to like catching that fish because we have so much footage and there's like so many memories from those trips.
I want to see you catch that fish.
Yeah, I feel like, and Ben and I were kind of talking about it earlier, but the funny thing is it's going to be like an 8 or 10 inch lake trout, but it's going to be like the best 8 or 10 inch lake trout I've ever caught in my life.
Whatever. You had the Average Joes earlier. They were showing off their his stuffed fish. I had a buddy a couple years ago who we went out fishing, and he was super excited to catch brook trout. He never caught one before. And then or not that he hadn't caught one before, he just hadn't caught one in years. And we're out there fishing. He catches 2. He's all super happy about it. He's going to take it home to go fish, eat them. And then he goes to clean them in the ice hole, and then it falls in the lake, and then it's just gone. And I was off in the woods, like getting some firewood or something, and I just hear, no! And I was like, what just happened? I come back, I lost my fish. And so I was planning to get that little 8-10-inch brook trout stuffed for him, and then, or as like a fabrication, and send it to him for his wedding. But I got the cost for just a 10-inch brook trout, and it was insane. It was like it was like $1,000 or something like that. I was like, oh no. But I was like, oh, you poor guy, just dropping your fish in the lake. What a waste. But it happens.
But yeah, I mean, it's
you
funny actually, because you are kind of like, I mean, you are kind of a walleye guy for sure. But you've been probably the most instrumental for me in putting brook trout in my canoe because of that flasher rig.
But then again, I've got no. Well, and the flasher rig is something that my buddy and I just kind of rigged together one day. And I'm sure it's been out there, other stuff, but we were just like, oh, let's try putting the spoon away from it for a little while. And then it's been the best thing I've ever done for winter brook trout fishing. But I don't have any of the experience like the average Joe's guys have for open water brook trout fishing. That's a whole different world.
But the amazing thing is that flasher rig worked. That's what I was catching them on when I went out with those guys.
So for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, a flasher rig is just a special way that they've been hooking up the fishing lures to catch brook trout. So they would have a spoon.
It's just extending the line from the bottom of the spoon.
Yeah, a spoon, and then where you normally have the hook, you have like a fishing leader or some line, and then you put the hook and maybe a worm at the end. And the spoon kind of attracts them and calls them in. It flashes and throws the light everywhere, and then they come up swimming and they smell that worm, taste that worm, and take a bite.
It's put just about every brook trout I've ever.
I've also done it other ways. Yeah, they work really well. I've also done them where you add like a MEPS number 2 behind it on like the leader, or you add like a really tiny like micro crankbait, and you put that behind the flasher, and it adds just such an extra kick to it with the wobble of the spoon that sometimes that works.
It sounds like something. I think musky guys call it the hamburger rig, where you'll have like a crankbait.
Never heard.
And then you'll have a fishing line behind the crankbait, and then you'll have a spoon behind the crankbait. And it's just to get the spoon down deep and call them in with the vibration. And yeah, we should be sticking more lures together.
That's a whole different world of musky that I'm not sure of either.
It's one of the. This is something you hear over and over again in fishing, but it's like confidence is the most important ingredient.
Yeah.
And like you can catch fish on some ridiculous stuff, but if it's like, okay, I think I know where the fish are. I know what the structure here is or what the bottom of the lake is like. I know this lure is getting in front of them, and I'm pretty confident that they're hungry. Like if you can put all those ingredients together, the rig itself is far less important. It's presentation, right? Like that's what they say is if you can present a lure well,
it's just, like imitating what you're supposed to imitate. And when you understand, you have confidence, your lures, like, as I said, everybody fishes their own way. And I'm confident in using Ned rigs to catch fish. I've caught everything from like almost 50-inch muskie down to like 16-inch crappie down to like all types of fish. Pike, they all hit it, but other people can catch the same thing with a different lure. And you just got to be there at the right time and be using it in the right way that you're confident with, or you're building confidence in. Sometimes it takes a while. Like we're working on Adam's confidence in jigging, and it's taken a while because he likes to spend a lot of time playing with the cameras, or like have 3 cameras going at best jigging moment of the day. And then, it's just the way it goes.
Listen,
you got to get the confidence in your lures.
I'm confident in fishing when I go out with you because you're with me. That's my confidence. I'm like, we're going to get fish because Jake's here. It's not going to be me. I'm not going to be
just not in the winter.
Well,
so,
that's true.
Yeah, we got to figure out some trips for this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for coming on. We're going to try and end this for 10:30. We're going to go a little bit over, but we still have to open these presents. So we're going to let you go, buddy. And yeah, we're going to
Yeah.
We'll figure out a trip for this year or a couple trips.
Have a great night. Happy birthday. Merry
Thanks, Jake.
Christmas and a happy New
Thank
Year.
you for coming on, buddy.
Yeah,
We'll
happy
see you
New Year
again
to
in
you
the
too.
new year.
I appreciate
sure.
you
Great fishing,
sticking around,
everybody.
being patient.
Good luck fishing. See you, man.
Peace.
Okay, we're running a little bit later here. We didn't tell anyone we were going past 10, but we planned on it.
I know. That's
Things are going pretty much to plan.
And you didn't invite Average Ontario Anglers. We were supposed to have Average Ontario Anglers on here.
Look, we should.
They were
address
invited
this.
for last
Okay,
week.
okay. So last week, make this quick. There was an emergency. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but something happened. I was home with my wife, and she had an issue, so I had to take her to the hospital. And so I called Ben. I was like, dude, I'm so sorry, but I can't do it. I need you to cancel everything. And it was kind of a nightmare, to be honest. But fortunately, everyone was able to reschedule. We got to do it this week. You got to come here and hang out.
Yeah,
I was
sure.
supposed to come to you.
Yeah, we were supposed to. Yeah, big difference.
So it all worked out. Thank you to all the viewers who came to watch. But
we're not done.
That's right. We did promise at the beginning. And oh gosh, so hang on. I can't get yours with this on my lap.
Okay. Well, maybe I should actually here. Let me open first. You
Okay.
open second. Which one should I do first?
There.
Okay.
It's a hammock.
Hammock. Oh, you want me to be a hammock camper?
Listen,
I
this
see.
is not
Okay.
a camping hammock. It's like
Sweet.
a chill lounge hammock.
Oh, I
figure
love
when
that.
You and Luana go out.
Dude, that's fantastic.
Just set it up.
Yeah.
You can hang out, just lounge in that.
Definitely.
I know you guys like to have snacks and stuff, so
We love our snacks.
Yeah.
And she's got a hammock too.
Oh, perfect.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome.
That's so sweet.
You got the
And
other
then-
little one.
And then there's this too.
This is not camping or fishing related.
Jelly?
So
Oh,
is-
sweet.
this is a jar here. This is a jar of. Now I know you're
camera's right there.
right. I know you're getting a little weak on the spice, but Mike, my good buddy Mike, this is his spicy jam, and this stuff is my favorite. My buddy Mike grows his own ghost peppers and makes this jam, and he only does it once a year when he harvests his peppers. But this is my favorite thing, and this on some crackers with cream cheese.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Go easy on it. It is hot.
Okay.
But this is special because
looking
you
forward
can't
to
get that anywhere.
Sweet. I love homemade stuff. Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
Here's yours.
Okay. Fragile Kitchen. Fragile Kitchen.
That was just a box I had around.
Oh, okay. Sorry. You said I was going to get mad about this. Oh my God, this is. Oh, a box in a box. Would you look at that? This is the thing I was going to get mad about. I hope it's a diamond ring.
It's
No,
close.
we're wasting people's time here. You really didn't think this through.
No, I didn't.
The
Sorry.
question now is, folks, how many boxes are there? Oh, and this one's taped. I don't have fingernails. What the heck have you done here? Here we go.
There you go.
Oh, imagine that. Imagine that. You're so... Oh God. Oh my God. Okay, we're down to an Amazon box. Nope, it's been opened, so this isn't. There's probably another box, I bet. Oh boy. Look, Pete. Oh my God. Okay, we're down. We got. Oh wait, we got three things. This is an iPhone. You get me not? Oh, 4 things. Jeez. How many of these are nothing? Is this just paper?
No, there's something in there.
Okay. Am I gonna damage it if I rip it?
No, you're good.
This is crazy. Oh my God. Plastic bag. $1 crock jar.
They're giblets for your Crocs.
They are giblets for my Crocs. Here, go show that to the camera.
You love your Crocs
I do love
so
my
much.
Crocs.
When I saw these, I just had the
Super cute. So a little bobber and a tackle box to put on my Crocs. Aw, that's adorable. A Terry's chocolate orange.
This is so you can hit me for wrapping it up in 100 different pots.
Well, are we going to do that on the live stream?
Well, I guess we have
Right
to,
across your head? That'll be the last thing we do, I guess.
And I lost your kid's walkie-talkie.
A replacement walkie-talkie.
There's 2 of them in there, yeah.
Wow.
There's 2 walkie-talkies. You might have remembered when I dropped one of their walkie-talkies in the lake off my fishing kayak.
Okay, thank you.
There's one more thing.
What?
And this is
Oh,
more fishing related. This last thing.
Oh, right, the little thing, sorry.
Yeah, I think everybody should have one of these in their PFDs.
It's a
It's
little
a Hujamaka
flint
Pivi.
to measure my giant fish.
That's right. And it goes up to 60 inches.
60.
And then you just push the button and it retracts right in.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This
no
is
problem, sir.
this is genius.
And it's in your real teal color, your Paddleheads teal color.
Would you look at that?
There you go.
Would you look at that? Okay, I'm gonna smash this Terry chocolate orange on Ben's head. Thank you everyone for watching. This is probably gonna hurt. but
This might
was your
hurt.
idea.
Yeah, I guess this was my
This is
idea.
not gonna be. This is not gonna be good.
Oh no.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching. Bye everybody.
Yeah. Happy New Year's.
Oh.